Chapter 4777. Look, this is why I didn't let you join in the fun. At the end of the city, Mo Ijin stood in the air and looked at the two beside him. Actually, there were 3 people beside him, including Mo Ian. After coming to the demon race, other than entering the strange world with Mo Ijin, she spent the rest of her time cultivating and wouldn't disturb Mo Ijin. It was rare for the two of them to be together like this. Mo D and Mo Yendan's faces were pale, and their bodies were trembling. Too strong. Zi Chen was too strong. So many people had died just like that. There's so many core extreme demons. Which one can't we deal with? Why does it have to be Lei Wuxing? Mo Yijin shook his head. Look, the losses are huge, right? He had warned the big shots behind him to be careful when setting up a trap. This place was different from other places. There was a unique Zi Chen here, but no one listened to him. The big shots who came all had their eyes on the top of their heads, and only had contribution in their eyes. Mo Yen looked at that murderous existence, still not daring to connect him with the Zi Chen she met back then. She didn't come here to watch the show, but to verify Mo Ijin's guess. Without a doubt, he guessed right again. The demon race had suffered heavy losses, even if there were demon Saint Venerables secretly overseeing, ensuring that nothing would go wrong. At this moment, 2 demon Saint Venerables were outside Zi Chen's palace, watching as the demon race experts were killed one by Zi Chen. The 2 of them were attacking, but they couldn't break through the defenses of Zi Chen's palace. In the end, Mo Ijin sighed. Fortunately, these people didn't act rashly and set the encirclement in the middle of the demon race army. Mo Ijin turned and left. At this moment, the battle was over. After killing all the demons, it wasn't difficult for Zi Chen to leave. The 3 of them followed. Mo Yendanzhua and Mo D had nothing to say. As for Mo Jingtian, he didn't even show his face this time. The door opened, and Lei Wuxing walked out of the room. Standing outside, he looked back at the residence he had stayed in for many years, or rather his former home. This was a core city. These individual buildings were the core of the Holy Thunder clan. But today he was going to leave. After losing his most powerful physical body, this place no longer belonged to him. After leaving this place and returning to the core city, the battle outside continued, but this place was still bustling with activity. However, with the arrival of Lei Wuxing, the lively crowd stopped, and everyone turned to look at him. His aura was very weak, which did not match his current identity. Lei Wuxing did not greet the crowd. He walked straight towards the teleportation array. His back looked a little lonely. The disciples of the Holy Thunder clan looked at him with complicated expressions. The core members enjoyed the most and best resources of the Holy Thunder clan, and were also the most precious existences of the Holy Thunder clan. However, if she were to fall now, she would be like a phoenix that had fallen to the ground. After all, there were no orders from above. They had all volunteered to fight, so there would be no compensation if they died. The commander and the city lord appeared in the distance. Both of them looked at Lei Wuxing's back with solemn expressions. The commander said in a deep voice, "We can't let this go on. If we don't think of a solution, more core members will die. Once the Lord comes out of seclusion and finds out that so many core members have died, it will be difficult to explain." The city lord shook his head. With Holy Sage Lei Zheng deliberately making things difficult, and the other holy sages not saying anything, he really had no other choice this time. At the entrance of the teleportation array, there was a group of dozens of people standing respectfully on both sides. After Lei Wuxing appeared, these existences with weak auras immediately cupped their fists and bowed to Lei Wuxing, calling him Lord. These people were the existences who had followed him into battle and died in battle. They were the team that Lei Wuxing had led previously. If you call me Lord again, you won't be able to come back in the future. Lei Wuxing looked at everyone and smiled bitterly. Everyone's expression was firm, and they called him Lord again. All right, without so many identities, We will fight to our heart's content. This is our place of survival, our home. Why should we give it to the demon race? Lei Wuxing laughed boldly. Come, follow me to the battlefield. Even if you are just a small soldier on the battlefield, you will not allow the demon race to take half a step into our territory. The dignified corps members were actually going to the front line to be small soldiers. As they were teleported out, Lei Wuxing paid the teleportation fee for everyone. Without the identity of a corps member, everything had to be done according to the rules. When they arrived at the previous battlefield, they saw Ziqin returning. At the same time, Lei Wuxing also saw himself as the strongest. Lei Wuxing smiled and said, I didn't expect you to come. Ziqin came closer. Why did you come out? Lei Wuxing pointed to the people behind him. The demon race hasn't retreated. How can we leave? So we decided to come to the front line to be small soldiers. I just don't know if Lord Ida will take a liking to us. Ida was the master of this world. If it wasn't for Lei Wuxing's arrival, his world would have already fallen. Right now, looking at the high and mighty Lord, who had become like this, Ida, the master of this world, had tears in his eyes again. How are you going to fight like this? Lei Wuxuang walked forward with a pale face. Ziqin's pill was very magical. Her life was hanging by a thread before, but now she could move. I waited at the door for a while, but I didn't see you come out. Actually, I was quite relieved. Lei Wuxing smiled. Lei Wuxuang was fine. This should be the biggest comfort for him. Ziqin looked at Lei Wuxing. What are your plans next? Lei Wuxing said seriously, I said before I will be a small soldier and do my best for the Holy Thunder Clan. Are you serious? Ziqin asked again. That's right. Lei Wuxing nodded. Ziqin returned the corpse to Lei Wuxing, but his soul power could no longer enter it. However, this body could be refined into a resource or a human-shaped soldier again. Ziqin didn't know what to say for a moment. At this moment, 2 more people appeared. Only the 4 core city leaders present knew these 2 people. Ziqin frowned slightly. He didn't know why these 2 big shots would come to such a remote place. Ziqin had a good impression of the core city leaders because he had fought side by side with them in the Lost World. As for the city lord, who only knew how to kick the ball and was always thinking for him, Ziqin didn't have a good impression of him at all. Ziqin, are you willing to return to the Holy Thunder Clan? This was the city lord's first sentence. No. Ziqin's response was very decisive. Chapter 4778. Ziqin looked at the city lord of the core city. The Holy Thunder Clan's current situation was directly related to Lei Jinka's inaction, but the city lord couldn't escape the responsibility. The city lord nodded and looked at Ziqin with a smile, indicating that he wasn't joking. The commander looked at Ziqin expectantly, hoping that Ziqin would agree. The others were stunned for a moment, then reacted and saluted the city lord of the core city. This was definitely a big shot of the Holy Thunder Clan. For some reason, I can't do anything about the Holy Thunder Clan's current situation, so I can only hire you. The city lord of the core city waved his hand and motioned for the others to stand up. He continued, After your return, you will be directly under my command. Other than me, no one can control you, and you will have the same authority as me. Everyone stood up and looked at Ziqin. This should be the scene that the world wanted to see the most. Compared to the Holy Thunder Clan, they were more willing to believe in Ziqin. Lei Wuxing also looked at Ziqin expectantly. He didn't expect this situation, but it was also what he hoped for. Lei Wuxuang, who was beside him, was deep in thought. Perhaps they had been waiting for this day all along and just needed a catalyst? All right. Ziqin agreed without hesitation. In fact, he could refuse, but if he refused, the Holy Thunder Clan would probably have no future. Countless people would lose their lives because of his anger. If his appearance could make the Holy Thunder Clan's situation better and allow more people to survive in this war, Ziqin was willing. Zi Chen stretched out his hand. The city lord was already prepared. He took out a token and threw it over. However, it wasn't the deputy city lord token, but the real city lord token, which belonged to the city lord himself. This was the greatest sincerity that the city lord could show. Zi Chen held the token and raised it high. "Come, listen to my orders." Immediately, some people appeared from the darkness. Those were the people who had followed the city lord here. They were also in charge of the city lord's safety, even if the city lord did not need to be protected. Inform all the core families of the Holy Thunder clan to come here immediately for a meeting. Zi Chen immediately issued his first order after taking power. Yes, those existences that appeared disappeared one after another. Zi Chen then turned around to look at everyone. Everyone, including Aide, knelt down and excitedly called out, "Sir." Xiao Lei and Unparalleled Thunder, as the core of the group, cupped their fists and saluted Zi Chen. Lei Wuxing and the people he brought with him also knelt on one knee. Now that they had lost their strongest physical bodies, they no longer had the status they had in the past. "Lei Wuxing, listen up." Zi Chen looked at Lei Wuxing and said, "Quickly go to the Tianwu continent and inform Luo Chishui to bring the elites here to meet with me." Understood. Lei Wuxing stood up and said loudly. At this moment, he was far more excited than the others. Zi Chen turned to look at Xiao Lei. Xiao Lei immediately said, "Sir, please give your orders." Zi Chen said bluntly, "Go and call all the core members who are willing to participate here. I need to trouble them with something." Understood. This little one will go now. A light array appeared under Xiao Lei's feet. In the next moment, he disappeared into the light array. Zi Chen finally looked at the others and said, "Everyone get up. Go back and rest up. Prepare for the next battle." "What about me?" Unparalleled Thunder did not wait for Zi Chen's third order, so she took the initiative to ask, "Recover your strength first. When you attack, don't be merciful." Zi Chen's voice became heavier. "Remember, don't be merciful." Understood. Unparalleled Thunder clenched her teeth. She naturally would not be merciful when dealing with demons. The city lord turned and left. The commander followed beside him to send him off. Zi Chen's orders had already been issued. Even a commander like him had to obey, so he could not leave. What if Zi Chen wants to use those core members? Wouldn't that be overkill? The commander asked worriedly. The city lord shook his head and said, "I don't care. I've already said that everything will be arranged by Zi Chen. I won't interfere." The city lord's eyes suddenly became firm. "If something really happens, I'll take the blame with my life. This is the only contribution this incompetent city lord can make to the Holy Thunder clan. But if I'm no longer here, remember to take care of my family." The city lord entered the teleportation array and returned. From now on, he was a core city lord with an empty position and no power. Orders were quickly passed down to the core families. Everyone was stunned when they heard the news. The meeting this time was actually in the outer region. After further inquiries, they found out that Zi Chen had been appointed as the vice city lord. Many people's expressions became strange. Of course, there were some people who were more excited, but there were also many who scoffed. "Zi Chen, he's just an idiot. Even the city lord can't order us around, let alone him. Don't bother, let's see what he can do." Among them, the one who reacted the least was the Leizheng family. Both sides had already shed all pretense of cordiality, so there was nothing to hide. If the Leizheng family didn't go, then those who were on good terms with the Leizheng family naturally wouldn't go either. On the contrary, the families who were on good terms with Zi Chen were very active in going. When everyone arrived, Zi Chen looked at the number of people and then asked Grace from the core city to count. He found that less than 40% of the people had come. It could be seen that the current Leizheng family was like the sun in the sky. Moreover, among the less than 40% of the families, some were neutral and some were on Leizheng's side. Ziqin didn't care about this. Looking at the people present, he smiled faintly and said, I didn't come here to ask the family heads to bring people to risk their lives. In fact, I don't need you to send extra people. Under the surprised gazes of the people, Ziqin said, the content of today's meeting is very simple. Each of your families has to take out a sum of resources. It can be pills, weapons, armor, or something like that. At the same time, I can also guarantee that after killing the demons, the corpses will be given to you first. However, they won't be provided for free. You will need to buy them at a reasonable price. Ziqin waved his hand and said, Okay, the family heads can leave. As for the proportion of the first batch of resources, I will let the Thunder Protector calculate it and inform you. This wasn't a discussion, but a notice, so Ziqin didn't give the others a chance to speak. Sir, this isn't appropriate. This time, only 40% of the families came. If only we take the resources and the other families don't, it won't make sense, right? A family head stood up and said with dissatisfaction. Ziqin smiled and said, I have considered this problem. You all just need to carry it out. As for the 60% of families, I will give you an explanation soon. Chapter 47-79. As soon as he said this, the family heads who were about to leave stopped. Trouble had come before they could carry out their plan. Moreover, the other party's words were obviously meant to hurt them. As for his intention, it couldn't be more obvious. Ziqin wasn't angry, and the smile on his face didn't fade. If you don't trust me, then don't use my method. You can be like the 60% of families and pretend that you didn't come here, and you don't have to pay the resources. The head said loudly, How can that be? What kind of person do you think I am? We are all members of the sacred Thunder Tribe. Naturally, we will advance and retreat together. We will face difficulties together. How can I watch as you, an exiled person, come back and harm my family? The expressions of the others changed, and they all had different emotions. Grace's gaze quickly swept across everyone's faces, trying to find some clues. Some were gloating, while others were worried for Ziqin. Ziqin didn't answer the question immediately. Instead, he looked at everyone and asked, What do you think? Everyone was silent and didn't express their opinions. Ziqin looked at the head of the family again. Do you know who I am? The head of the family said sarcastically, Who doesn't know? You are Ziqin, an existence exiled by the Holy Thunder Clan. Ziqin said again, Then do you know that the Leijing family and I are enemies and can't coexist? The head of the family snorted and said, What does it have to do with me? Now, I am fighting for the interests of the entire Holy Thunder Clan. What does it have to do with the Leijing family? Ziqin said, Because my attitude towards the Leijing family is that as long as it's related to the Leijing family, even if it's just a little bit, I'd rather kill by mistake than let go. So, I don't even bother to know who you are and which family you are from, because I don't care about the dead. You. The head of the family's expression changed, and he scolded angrily, You dare to, before the head of the family could finish speaking. A light flew out from Ziqin and landed on the head of the family. A head fell to the ground. The others subconsciously retreated as cries of surprise rang out. Everyone looked at Ziqin in shock. No one had thought that Ziqin would actually dare to kill someone at this time. Killing someone in a meeting was something that had never happened before in history. I'm sorry, but special times call for special measures. I wonder if anyone has any opinions. Ziqin looked at everyone with a gentle smile on his face. Everyone, don't worry. I won't purposely treat those who speak up for justice as people who are colluding with the Leijing family and kill them all. As for this reckless one, it's because he's too obvious. He doesn't even know how to disguise himself. The threat in this sentence was very obvious. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Those who originally wanted to say a few more words tactfully shut their mouths. After all, Ziqin's attitude was already very clear. As long as he conveyed this message, it would be fine. There was no need to risk his life, right? The meeting was adjourned, and the leaders of the clans all left. The people from the Sacred Rune Palace didn't leave. The people from the Thunder Protector Agency were also present, as were several other departments in the core city. Zichen looked at Grace. "Help me gather a group of core disciples. It's best if they know their roots and have nothing to do with the Leizhen family." Grace was very accurate in this aspect, so it was easy to arrange. She asked, "Can you do it within 3 days?" "Yes." Zichen nodded. Then, Zichen mentioned a few other small things. The gist of it was that he wanted some capable people to come out and help. Then the meeting came to an end. After these people left, Zichen gathered the leaders of the outer region for a meeting. There were many of these leaders, and they didn't dare to disobey Zichen's orders. So everyone was present. Unlike the core area in the outer region, the rulers of each star domain were the leaders. At least they had the final say in some matters. Ida provided a larger meeting place for everyone. Everyone who arrived was seated according to the registration. Some couldn't sit down, so they stood at the back and listened. After Zichen arrived, everyone stood up. For many of the leaders, this was the first time they saw the famous Zichen at such a close distance. Zichen waved his hand and motioned for everyone to sit down. He said directly, "I've called everyone here. It's not a big deal. There are a few small things that I need you to do. In 3 days, inform the star domains under your rule in my name that 8-star and 9-star Saint Spirits can only stay in their respective residences and are not allowed to move around freely. If you can't do it, then it's fine. Just remember who's doing it. When it's over, give me the list. I'll deal with it later." Everyone nodded. No one dared to disobey, even if they didn't know why Zichen was doing this. Zichen continued, "Second, now that the war is urgent, I need to know the situation of the shops in every city in the outer region. I need to know if there are enough resources. When you go back, mark all the shops and send them to me. This must be done within 3 days. Of course, the sooner the better. Lastly, I want to tell everyone that since I'm involved, I'll do my best in the next battle. No matter the outcome, I'll do my best." Zichen said, "So, I hope everyone can do their best to cooperate." Everyone stood up again and saluted Zichen with their fists clasped. They shouted that they would do their best to cooperate. After the meeting was over, Little Lei called the extreme core experts over. There were actually more than 20 of them, which surprised Zichen. As for the other core members, it wasn't that they didn't want to fight. Some of them might be in seclusion. After all, above the 9-star Saint Spirit, there was the Saint Realm. They had more or less gained something from this trip to the strange world. At the same time, Luo Qishui also received the order to come here. After learning the identity of Ray and the others, he was very surprised. He never thought that one day he would be able to stand together with the core members of the Holy Thunder clan, and with so many of them. Zichen introduced Luo Qishui to everyone, then patted him on the shoulder and said, "The time for revenge has come. Get ready." Then Zichen had the core members and the core disciples from the inner city disperse to the various star zones in advance and wait for the new order. The people on the periphery were more efficient. They quickly got the list. After receiving the list of shops on the periphery, Zichen issued a new order. He asked the rulers of the star zones to prepare some real experts to patrol the various cities to see if there were any abnormalities. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. An order about the 8-star and 9-star Saint Spirits not being allowed to move was passed down. Everyone was very confused, but they had to carry out the order. In fact, even the rulers of the star zones didn't understand what was going on. But soon they received a new order. They were to immediately send the experts who were patrolling the city to the shop where the Leizhen family was and forcibly seal the shop. Anyone who tried to resist would be killed without mercy. Seeing this order, all the rulers of the star zones were stunned. They couldn't believe it, but as the order was passed down again, they all started to act. In a very short time, All the shops of the Lejeune family in the Holy Thunder Clan star zones were forcibly destroyed. All the resources were seized. Chapter 4780. In an instant, a huge earthquake occurred in the outer region. Before anyone could react, the shops and workshops controlled by the Lejeune family were locked down. They were caught off guard. When the crowd saw this scene, it was already over. All the shops and workshops were under martial law. The crowd clapped their hands and cheered. As the war continued, the prices of all kinds of goods in these shops had increased several times. The news quickly spread to the core city. The Lejeune family was furious when they heard the news. They immediately sent out many experts to help. The teleportation array lit up, and a powerful aura appeared. It was a 9-star Holy Spirit who didn't suppress his aura. The original guards immediately came forward and surrounded the teleportation array. The 9-star Holy Spirit appeared and looked around coldly. "Get out of my way! Lord Zichin has ordered that no 8-star Holy Spirits or above are allowed to move around the outer region." The guard looked at the 9-star Holy Spirit and said, "Please go back, Lord. Get out of my way, or die." The Holy Spirit's eyes were full of killing intent. He represented the Lejeune family. What happened in the outer region was a slap to the Lejeune family's face. The powerful aura suffocated the guard. He gritted his teeth and said, "Lord Zichin has said that whoever dares to disobey will be killed without mercy. You're courting death." The Holy Spirit waved his hand, and the 6-star Holy Spirit guard was sent flying. He landed in the distance and coughed up blood. He wasn't a real guard. He was a core disciple from the inner city. "How dare you disobey? You deserve to die." A cold voice sounded. Luo Chishue walked over from afar. His eyes were extremely cold. He drew his sword as he approached. He had refined this sword many times, and the quality of its material was getting better and better. It was because of this sword that he was targeted by the Lejeune family. He lived a life of disdain. If he hadn't met Lord Zichin, he would have been finished. The sword he used today contained many years of hatred, so it was exceptionally powerful. This was his best sword. The sword light pierced through the 9-star Holy Spirit's body. His powerful aura dissipated instantly, and he fell straight to the ground. He was dead. Luo Chishue sheathed his sword and said indifferently, "Guard this place well. If anyone dares to disobey the order, kill without mercy." Outside the other passageways, core members like Unparalleled Lei were standing guard. After attacking, Lei Wushuang finally understood what Zichin meant when he told her not to hold back. It wasn't that they shouldn't hold back when they were killing the demons, but when it came to the members of the Lejeune family who had come to the periphery. Zichin had expected this. In other words, this was Zichin's arrangement. It was like a huge net, waiting for the Lejeune family to fall into it. This time, not only did the Lejeune family lose their shops in the periphery, but the powerful warriors who tried to change the situation were also killed after trying to force their way in. This loss was much greater than the previous time when Zichin caused a ruckus in those shops. The news immediately spread to the core area, causing those families to be shocked. Last time, Zichin killed people to establish his power. Everyone guessed that this time, Zichin would do it again. However, they didn't expect that he would do it to the Lejeune family, who was the strongest. This time, let's not talk about the result of establishing their prestige first. In short, it was a painful blow to the Lejeune family. When the head of the Jelaf family heard the news, he was overjoyed. In recent years, they had been suppressed by the Lejeune family because of their good relationship with Zichin. Now that they saw the Lejeune family's huge loss, they were naturally in a good mood. He specially took out a bottle of good wine that he had kept for many years and cooked a few dishes to go with the wine. The other families who had been suppressed for a long time were also in a good mood today. They breathed out a sigh of relief, so much so that the treasures in their houses were reduced. To resist foreign aggression, we must first settle our internal affairs. This is a strong medicine. I don't know if it's effective, but it's very effective." The mayor put down the book in his hand and smiled. "Looking at the entire Holy Thunder clan, only Zichen can do such a thing. The Leizheng family is indeed a tumor that hinders us. Zichen has found the right place this time," the commander said. "But what if Lord Leizheng takes action personally?" The mayor laughed heartily. "What are you afraid of? Lord Leizheng is very good to Zichen. The two spiritual ancestors and Zichen also have a good relationship with him. The Lord of the Sacred Talisman Palace is also the same. This time, even if Lord Leizheng takes action, he may not be able to gain the upper hand." At this moment, someone suddenly came in to report that Lord Leizheng had left the family in anger and went to the periphery. The mayor asked, "What about the other lords?" "They didn't move. They are still in their own residence." "What?" The mayor's expression changed. He could no longer remain calm because this was completely different from what he had expected. Why didn't the other lords help Zichen? Zichen stood in a huge open space. Ida was standing far away from the open space. Previously, he had followed the order and sealed off all the Leizheng family shops in the Star Sector. As this was one of the main battlefields, the Leizheng family had raised the prices many times. Back then, Lord Lei Wuxing had no choice but to use his own resources to subsidize. He did not expect Lord Zichen to use such an extreme method. However, he had to admit that it was very satisfying. Looking at those arrogant fellows kneeling in front of him and begging for mercy, he felt very happy. Suddenly, a powerful aura descended. The aura of a lord emerged. A lord had arrived. Ida's expression changed when he felt the anger in the lord's aura. He guessed who the lord was. "Zichen, I want you dead." The lord approached and rushed towards Zichen. He slammed his palm down. The whole world was shaking. This was because Lord Leizheng had restrained his power. Otherwise, the world would have collapsed. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you too, you pests of the Holy Thunder clan." A light shone in front of Zichen. The Zichen palace blocked the attack. Then, the last lightning seed appeared in front of Zichen. It instantly turned into a lightning tree. The lightning tree was almost as tall as the world. Leizheng looked extremely small in front of it. Lightning flashed on the lightning tree. It then turned into lightning chains and extended towards Leizheng. All the branches of the lightning tree began to whip Leizheng. Leizheng was furious. He mobilized the Lord's power and destroyed a large number of lightning chains. However, more lightning chains still appeared. Zichen looked coldly at Leizheng, who was in a sorry state. "Bastard, pests like you don't deserve to live in this world. After I kill you, I'll destroy your Leizheng clan." Zichen's voice resounded throughout the world. Just as Zichen was speaking, some crystal balls in the distance lit up, and this scene was reflected in them. Boom! Leizheng went completely berserk. His boundless lord's power forcefully destroyed the branches. The lightning tree gradually dimmed because of the huge consumption of energy. "Little bastard, after I destroy this tree, I'll kill you." Leizheng was furious. In Mengyao city of Tianwu continent, Han Nu, who was strolling around, put down the accessories in her hand and looked up at the sky. Her beautiful eyebrows raised. Cheng Ho, who was behind her, immediately took a step forward. "You old thing, you even dare to touch my brother. You're courting death." Cheng Ho punched out. A dazzling fist light appeared from the city and headed straight for the sky. The rules in the sky automatically avoided it, and a gap appeared in the world. The fist light flew out of Tianwu world and arrived in Ida's world. There was a loud boom. Chapter 4781. The tree of lightning in the sky collapsed, and the hole in the sky didn't close up for a long time. Leizheng stood in the sky and looked at himself in a daze. The world was in silence. Blood rained down from the sky, and it was a ghastly sight. Leizheng Lord's chest was penetrated by a fist that came from outer space. What kind of punch was that? One had to know that Lei Zhang was a saint venerable. Who could hurt him? Ancient sacred venerate. That term popped into everyone's mind. It seemed like the rumor was true. In Zichen's world, there was really an ancient sacred venerate. There was no doubt that Lei Zhang had made his move. Everyone was shocked. However, they soon realized that it was just the beginning. Zichen rose into the sky and came before Lei Zhang. Bastard, I've been annoyed with you for a long time. Today, I'll send you on your way. As soon as Lei Zhang finished his words, a bright blade arc appeared in front of everyone. That was the flowing blade from the myriad world. The blade arc was so bright and dazzling that everyone couldn't open their eyes. The second explosion resounded in the sky. Powerful energy surged and shook. Zichen's body flew out and landed heavily on the ground. A huge, human-shaped pit appeared from the ground. "Old bastard, I'll kill you." In the human-shaped pit, Zichen's voice was heard again as he rose into the sky. Lei Zhang wasn't seriously injured by Lei Zhang's powerful attack. Blood splattered in the sky as Lei Zhang turned into a stream of light and flew away. Upon closer inspection, Lei Zhang was missing an arm. Lei Zhang had managed to dodge the previous attack in time. However, he had lost an arm because of it. "Old bastard, don't run away if you dare. Come and fight with me. Is the Lei Zhang family too arrogant? Don't you want to make money from the war? Come on. Today, you old bastard, Lei Zhang, ran away with your tail between your legs. Tomorrow, I'll destroy all of Lei Zhang's shops and bring justice to the Holy Thunder clan." Zichen shouted into the distance. Lei Zhang's figure flashed a few times and disappeared. He didn't reply to Zichen's scolding. Thinking about it, Lei Zhang was probably going to be scared to death in the face of a punch from outer space. After Lei Zhang left, Zichen could no longer hold back and directly coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body landed on the ground, and his face gradually turned pale. This old thing has some skills. Everyone was in a state of shock. They never thought that such a shocking scene could appear in this ordinary ID world. Seeing that the Holy Master had escaped, no one dared to step forward. It was not because they were afraid of Zichen, but because of the oppressive aura, no one dared to approach him. The blood that fell to the ground did not dissipate. They were like blood-colored pearls that emitted a powerful aura. This was the blood of a saint, a really good thing. However, what was even more horrifying was that arm. It still contained the aura of a holy venerate. This was the key reason why no one could approach it. Zichen was not afraid because he himself was a 9-star saint spirit. He could easily deal with that kind of aura. After approaching, he picked up the arm and smiled. "Good weapon." After saying that, Zichen waved his hand and a suction force appeared. The blood-colored pearls from all directions all flew toward Zichen. These things might not be useful to Zichen, but if given to others, they would definitely be treasures. Every drop of the blood of a saint could be used to strengthen one's physical body. It was rare. In the past, Zichen wanted to, but did not have the opportunity. Now he seemed to have seen some kind of hope. After putting away these things, the oppressive aura between heaven and earth disappeared. Zichen turned his head to look around and said in a deep voice, "Everyone listen up. The war has started." Lei Zhang family did not listen to orders and raised the price of resources without permission. From today onwards, all the resources of the shops in the periphery will be confiscated. If anyone disobeys, kill without mercy. Zichen's voice spread far and wide. It was sonorous and powerful. Someone had already recorded this scene. Even the previous scene was recorded in pictures. Very soon, these images were spread around. Lei Zhang returned injured, and this brought a great shock to all the families in the core forces. Everyone began to inquire about the news, wanting to know what had happened in the periphery. However, high-level existences were still unable to move freely in the periphery at this moment. They could only send some low-level existences. Ziqin had no intention of suppressing the news. He wanted them to know anyway. Those people got the crystal ball and saw the cause and effect. They were so shocked that they were speechless. At this moment, he returned to the core city again after so many years. This time, he was going to look for Grace. The highest steward of the Thunder Defense Department, the old man who had single-handedly nurtured Grace, personally received Ziqin. Back then, the old man had been very optimistic about Ziqin. Today, seeing Ziqin's achievements, he was naturally happy from the bottom of his heart. Just as Ziqin and the old man were talking and laughing, the various families in the inner city were already shocked. In order to show his power, Ziqin directly attacked the largest family of the Holy Thunder clan, Leizheng. In just one day, he destroyed all the shops in the periphery of Leizheng. Not only did he destroy them, but he also directly plundered them. At the same time, he killed more than 28 and 9-star holy spirits of the Leizheng family. In the end, even holy sage Leizheng returned with serious injuries. Especially after seeing Ziqin cut off Leizheng's arm with one slash, they were all even more shocked. Now, the fact that ancient holy sages were overseeing the Tianwu world was completely confirmed. Next, everyone was waiting for a huge fight. Unfortunately, it did not happen. The entire Leizheng family suddenly went silent. It was as if nothing had happened, and everything went on as usual. As for the periphery, they were determined not to go and only moved around in the inner city. No one asked for justice, and no one went to the periphery to negotiate with them to get back those resources. After all, many shops and workshops were an astonishing amount of resources and wealth. The other families were a little disappointed that they did not get to see the fight, but they quickly reacted. The first thing they did was to inform those shops to return all the goods to the original price, or even lower. The Leizheng family was one, but which family was two? Even Leizheng was seriously injured. Which family dared to not listen to Ziqin's orders and arrangements? Ziqin was a man of his word. At present, he did not ask the other families to send anyone. He only mobilized a group of core disciples to the periphery to assist in the battle. But soon, Grace distributed the share of resources that each family needed to contribute to this battle. Except for the Leizheng family, every family was given a share, including the families that had not gone before. If it were before, of course, they would not pay this amount. They would even stand in front of their own houses and curse for a long time. But with the Leizheng family as an example, each and every one of them tactfully paid the resources. With these resources, Ziqin could be considered rich and overbearing. He gave benefits to those who died in the battle and elixirs to those who were injured. At the same time, he also paid a high price to recruit those outsiders to join the battle. The second battle of the devil race had arrived, but the leader was only a 5-star devil. The other party was shouting outside, and it was still the same old plan that Mo.E had devised. Seeing this scene, Ziqin smiled. Obviously, the devil race was preparing for a battle between gentlemen. After all, with Ziqin here, no one could survive unless a holy sage went out to fight. At the same time, similar situations occurred in other places. Therefore, Ziqin was at ease as the overall commander, controlling the direction of the resources and the direction of the battle. Chapter 4782. Looking at Ida, who walked into the room, Ziqin asked, "Is everything ready?" Ida nodded and said respectfully, "Everyone has evacuated. I guarantee that no one will be left behind." Ziqin walked out of the room, with Ida following behind him. Looking at the empty street, Ziqin felt a little emotional. When he came here 100 years ago, although this place had been affected by the flames of war, it was still very lively. However, after 100 years of fighting, there was no one here, and they would soon withdraw from this place. "Thank you for your help, sir. I am very satisfied." These were Ida's heartfelt words. If it weren't for Ziqin here, his world would have been gone long ago. And after 100 years of defending, all the resources in Ida's world had been withdrawn, and the losses had been completely minimized. Over the past 100 years, the demon race's offensive had rapidly become stronger, and many elites had come. Even Ziqin suspected that all the elites of the demon race had come here. The reason why they retreated was for better defense, because accurate information came that the divine race, who had broken through the Saint Spirit realm, had also sent troops to the Holy Thunder Clan. Faced with such a situation, Ziqin had to retreat and try to unify the battle as much as possible. The others have also retreated? Ziqin asked. Yes, they all went to the Mufeng Star Field to prepare for defense. Now only the two of us are left here. Rays of light appeared in the distance. It was the frontline troops of the demon race. They had thought that there was no one in this world. But after coming in, they noticed Ziqin's existence. These demons were all stunned, then stopped in place and immediately saluted Ziqin respectfully, no matter where they were. The strong would always be respected. Ziqin nodded slightly at those demons, but did not make any move to kill them. On the huge battlefield, a few lives were not worth mentioning. The demons stood there and no longer moved forward. Ziqin planned to turn around and leave. Suddenly, he stopped and turned to look in the direction of the demons. Another group of people appeared, and the one in the lead was an old acquaintance, Lu Zhen. The other party had not appeared for a long time. It was said that the leader's position had been replaced by someone else. After Moe landed, she looked at Ziqin from afar and said, "You are wasting too much time here. After so many years, you still have not broken through to the Holy Light stage." Ziqin smiled and said, "You haven't broken through either. I'm not like you. I'm not important in the demon race, but you're famous. Now that you haven't broken through, the entire spirit race is under great pressure. Do you know how many people are waiting for you to break through and save the world? Then when do you think is the best time for me to break through? It's best if it's now. Then, if I really broke through, you guys would have run away a long time ago." With that, Ziqin turned around and left. His expression was still relaxed as he waved his hand without looking back. "See you on the battlefield." However, after leaving this world, his expression became solemn. He had only spoken a few words with Moe, but the information within was still very important. At the very least, Xiao Qin knew that the deity race sending reinforcements this time had something to do with whether he broke through or not. The Holy Thunder Clan's encirclement retreated a full circle. Their forces compressed once more, preparing for a defensive battle. When the deity race's forces arrived, they took on half of the offensive for the demons. This time, the deity race's strategy changed. They continuously sent out experts, even half-step holy venerates. Furthermore, Ziqin could only take care of one area. Hence, the battle situation was very unfavorable for the deity race from the start. Hence, Ziqin used his authority as the city lord again to send out the half-step holy venerates of the Holy Thunder Clan. Lei Jinke still did not appear. Hence, when the city lord was not in charge, Ziqin had the highest authority. As for the consequences of disobeying Ziqin's orders, the Leijing family from 100 years ago was the best example. For 100 years, the Leijing family did not participate in the battle even once. Ziqin did not even ask the core disciples of the Leijing family to participate in the battle. However, the Lei family gave all the resources that should have belonged to them to Ziqin. There were also the various resources and workshops that the Lei family plundered. Even after 100 years, they still existed. After the half-step holy venerates joined the battle, they only slowed down the retreat of the deity race. They were still retreating, but it was an effective retreat. The deity race and the demon race worked together and orderly nibbled away at the Holy Thunder Clan's territory. The battle covered a very large area. However, Ziqin's Tianwu continent was still the safest. All the advancing forces took a detour around it. The outer regions started to fall. One astral region after another changed owners. Eventually, all of them changed owners. Only the Ganhai astral region, the Tianmu astral region that Zichen sold, remained. Aside from this astral region, only the Holy Thunder Clan's core region remained. The battle was very bitter. Every day there would be tragic scenes. However, there was nothing they could do. The Holy Thunder Clan had retreated time and time again. Now they could only rely on themselves. Even though Zichen offered a high reward, the results were not good. The Leizheng family still did not participate in the battle. They kept their forces. However, the resources of their shops in the core region were requisitioned by Zichen for a second time. Ever since Lei Zheng's arm had been cut off, the Leizheng family had become exceptionally quiet. They did not even resist when Zichen deliberately suppressed them. The Leizheng family, which had once been unparalleled in the world, seemed to have become exceptionally low-key and humble overnight. After requisitioning the Leizheng family's resources, Zichen began to mobilize the main forces of those families to fight against the deity race and the demon race. Another few decades later, the Tianmu astral region fell. When the deity race withdrew, all the transportation formations to the Tianmu continent were forcefully destroyed. The leader, Zichen, was a little worried. In this way, Zichen's Tianmu world was a lonely world. It was not close to anywhere. Not long after, the figures of sacred venerables appeared on the battlefield. The deity race and the demon race seemed to have discussed it. Therefore, Zichen could only let the Holy Thunder Clan's sacred venerables take action. However, compared to the number of sacred venerables of the deity race and the demon race, the Holy Thunder Clan obviously did not have the advantage. In the continuous battle, the Holy Thunder Clan retreated again and again. The core region was gradually conquered. According to the development of this situation, the entire Holy Thunder Clan would fall one day. Under such circumstances, everyone was hoping that Lei Jinka would appear at this time and turn the tide. After all, he was the strongest person in the Holy Thunder Clan and even the entire world. No one knew if Lei Jinka had heard everyone's call, but he actually came out of seclusion. As the news spread, the entire Holy Thunder Clan cheered. Their greatest support had finally arrived. With Lei Jinka coming out of seclusion, Zichen no longer had the authority to manage everyone. At least before Lei Jinka agreed, he did not have any authority. Chapter 4783. When Lei Jinka came out of seclusion and took over control, the entire Holy Thunder Clan was cheering. They finally saw hope. Hope for victory. However, Zichen knew very well that the Holy Thunder Clan wanted to fight against the Celestial and Demon clans when they had lost the initiative. It was simply a fool's dream. Not to mention one Lei Jinka. Even 10 of them wouldn't be enough. Defeat was only a matter of time. On the day Lei Jinka took over the Holy Thunder Clan, he announced his first order. He removed Zichen from his position as Deputy City Lord. When he said this, there was an uproar. If it weren't for Zichen, the Holy Thunder Clan would have been conquered because of disunity. How could they have held on until now? Now that Zichen was removed from his position, it was obvious that he wanted to leave. After all, Zichen's Tianwu world was outside the Holy Thunder Clan. Lei Jinka soon announced the reason. The Celestial and Demon clans' joint attack wasn't for the Holy Thunder Clan but for Zichen. For many years, Zichen had used the entire Holy Thunder Clan to fight for his Tianwu world. When this news came out, it caused an uproar. Almost no one dared to believe that this was true. However, who wouldn't believe Lei Jinka's words? Lei Jinka finally gave another order. Next, he would lead the entire Holy Thunder Clan into seclusion. When the time came, the truth would naturally be revealed. Fortunately, Lei Jinka didn't go too far. Before this, he gave the Holy Thunder Clan members a choice: stay or leave. Those who were willing to stay could stay and fight for Zichen. Those who weren't willing to stay would lead the Holy Thunder Clan into seclusion. This choice was even more difficult to make. At this time, the Leizheng family, who had been quiet for many years, finally jumped out. You bunch of idiots. Zichen used you like guns, and you actually stupidly want to risk your lives for him. Do you know that he's playing with you? He's deliberately sending you to your deaths. How many members of the Holy Thunder Clan have died over the years? But Zichen's Tianwu world is not only unscathed, it's even getting stronger. This time, the Leijing family was still trying their best to smear Zichen's name under their deliberate instigation. The morale of the military was already shaken. Zichen no longer had any authority, and he had already left the Holy Thunder Clan. So he brought Luo Qishue and the others back. Everyone was in low spirits. They hung their heads dejectedly. After fighting for so many years, they had seen countless tragic scenes. Who would have thought that when it came to Leijinka, he would end up taking a bullet for Zichen? Lei Wuxing was also in this team. Many years ago, he had lost his strongest physical body and was no longer at the pinnacle of the core. However, after refining many resources, he had once again reached the pinnacle of the past. But this time, he didn't return to be a core member. Instead, he stayed by Zichen's side and fought alongside Zichen. The people he had brought with him back then also followed him. They knew what kind of person Zichen was after all these years. Looking at the Tianwu world in front of him, Zichen suddenly stopped. The Leijing family wasn't wrong about one thing. Because there had been no fighting in the Tianwu world for so many years, it had become even more prosperous. But what about the future? Seeing Zichen stop, Lei Wuxing was somewhat puzzled. Are you still planning to go back? Zichen shook his head and said, No, I have to make a trip to the demon race. Why are you going to the demon race? Once the Holy Thunder Clan goes into hiding, we will be their only target. The Tianwu world may not be able to be defended, so we have to find a way out for them in advance. After saying that, Zichen turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. He arrived at the territory occupied by the demon race. Those who recognized Zichen immediately became nervous. I'm looking for Mo Zhengtian. Zichen directly stated his purpose for coming. Sir, please wait a moment. The group of demons cupped their fists and bowed. Someone immediately went back to report. Zichen stood there, and the demon race soldiers looked at Zichen nervously and curiously. Not long after, Mo Zhengtian appeared. Compared to the past, his aura was more vigorous, as if he could take that step at any time. You've been abandoned by the Holy Thunder Clan again. Are you planning to seek refuge with me? Mo Zhengtian approached with a mocking smile. Mo Di and Mo Yin Danzua, who were following behind him, laughed loudly. Moe didn't laugh. He looked at Zichen with pity in his eyes. What a pitiful person. They had long known about Zichen's encounter with the Holy Thunder Clan. Zichen also laughed, then said indifferently, Do you all think that I can't kill you here? Their laughter stopped abruptly. Yes, although Zichen had been banished again, his battle strength was still there. Even if they were very close to the Holy Venerate level, they still didn't have the confidence to survive in Zichen's hands. As for the Holy Venerates, they still hadn't appeared until now. Who knew if they would come? Speak, why are you looking for me? Mo Zhengtian said, I don't believe that you're here just for this useless threat. Zichen said, What's coming is bound to be a life and death battle. So I'm here to tell you that a group of unrelated people will leave my world. I hope that you won't make things difficult for them and let them leave safely. Oh, you're thinking of running? What? The Holy Thunder Clan isn't willing to take you away. So you want to use this method to escape. Mo Zhengtian laughed mockingly. That's my world and also my home. I can't leave. I'm here to tell you that after those innocent people leave, don't do anything. If you understand, just do it. What? You still dare to threaten me at a time like this? Mo Zhengtian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Believe it or not, I'll kill anyone who comes out of your world. Of course I don't believe it. Zichen turned and left. In fact, he was in a very bad mood. Mo Jingtian was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but he could only watch as Zichen left. After Zichen was far away, Mo Jingtian asked, "What do you think?" Mo Yi said with a trembling voice, "According to Zichen's character, he definitely won't leave alone. Sir, you can rest assured." Rather than angering Zichen at this time and making him do something that doesn't suit his character, it's better to do as Zichen said and let the others leave. After all, no matter how important the others are, they can't be compared to Zichen. And our ultimate goal is to get rid of Zichen and take complete control of this place. What do you think he can do even if we anger him? Mo Yi asked again with a trembling voice. It's hard to say. If he escapes from here and comes behind us, it won't be good if he attacks us. Or if he runs to a place where there's no one and only comes out after becoming a holy venerate. That's even more of a nightmare for us. Thinking of that possibility, Mo Jingtian's eyes began to twitch. That would be bad. Chapter 4784. Zichen returned to the Tianwu world. After many years of development, the liveliness of this place had reached its peak. Zichen smiled. Such a scene would probably never happen again in his life. He mobilized the rules, and his voice rang out in every corner of the world. Everyone, a large-scale war is about to break out in the Tianwu world. Those who want to leave can leave now. All the noisy cities suddenly became extremely quiet. Everyone looked up at the sky, but they saw nothing. The Celestial and Demon clans are about to attack the Tianwu world. What follows will be an unprecedentedly difficult battle. I have already made an agreement with the Demon clan. Anyone who wants to leave can leave safely from the Demon clan. Zichen's voice rang out again. Don't go to the Holy Thunder clan. Soon that place will disappear. Regardless of whether you have made an agreement before or not, I will give everyone a chance to choose. However, if you decide to stay, you must go to war. The various cities were still incomparably quiet. The sudden change made them somewhat at a loss for what to do. Spies from other forces, you can also leave. This time the Tianwu world will be facing the main forces of the Celestial and Demon clans. During this time, the Holy Masters may also start a war. There is no point in you staying here to continue to gather information. The teleportation array can no longer be used. I will open the world and send you away. Leave in the direction of the Demon clan. I can guarantee your safety. Well, that's it. Everyone can make a choice. The message transmitted through the rules of heaven and earth was naturally not a prank. The quiet cities shook violently in the next moment. There was panic in the crowd and many people wanted to leave. In response, Zichen just watched silently. His mood did not fluctuate much. Compared to his return from the Holy Thunder clan with his tail between his legs, these people's departure was nothing at all. Everyone who wants to leave, enter the teleportation array. I have changed the path of the teleportation array. It can directly send you out of the world. The teleportation fee will be waived. I wish everyone good luck. The power of the world's rules was injected into the teleportation array. Then, one by one, those who stepped into the teleportation array arrived outside the Tianwu world. Zichen did not stop everyone. When the war was about to start, he allowed everyone to leave. In the blink of an eye, many people were standing densely outside the world. At a glance, there were already more than 1 million people, and the number was still increasing crazily. After these people appeared, they turned around to look at Zichen's Tianwu world. Their expressions became somewhat complicated. Some of them, in particular, had signed a defense contract with Zhou Lina before coming to Tianwu world. As a result, they only had to pay a small fee to stay there. However, after Zichen gave them a chance, they breached the contract. Because of fear, even the Holy Thunder clan couldn't stop the gods and demons. So how could Zichen's Tianwu continent? These people felt guilty. They bowed deeply to Zichen's world, then turned around and left. The enormous Holy Realm that originally belonged to the Holy Thunder Clan was now mostly empty. Just as some people were considering whether they should leave through the Holy Thunder Clan, they saw a giant tree materialize and shrouded the huge Holy Thunder Clan. This was the Tree of the Lightning Ancestor, the famous ancestral tree of the Holy Thunder Clan. It was said to be even older than Lejinka. In the next moment, everyone saw the Tree of the Lightning Ancestor wrapped the Holy Thunder Clan with the power of thunder and disappeared. The huge Holy Thunder Clan disappeared just like that. The entire Holy Thunder Clan went into hiding. Everyone looked at each other, and those who wanted to borrow the path smiled bitterly. It seemed that this time the Tianwu world was doomed. At the same time, their hearts were filled with gratitude to Ziqin. After all, Ziqin gave them a choice and a chance to live. In a situation where they couldn't pass through the Holy Thunder Clan, everyone could only head in the direction of the demon race because the surrounding area had already fallen. When they flew to the area where the demon race was, everyone realized that no one came forward to stop them. It was as if they were ignored. Even though they remembered Ziqin's words, they still held a skeptical attitude. At this moment, Mo appeared. He stood in the void and said, Ziqin has already informed you of the situation. You can all leave safely today. However, you only have one day. Once the time is up, you will be courting death if you come here again. Everyone silently thanked Ziqin in their hearts, then quickly left. Mo landed next to Mo Jintian and said with a smile, My lord, from the current number of people, it seems that the number of people has almost reached 10 million. This is only the first wave. I believe that there will be a second and third wave soon. Perhaps the number of people leaving will reach tens of millions. Hearing this number, Mod and Mo Yenshan's expressions changed. One had to know that there were no ordinary people in Ziqin's world. Even the number of low-level existences was very small. Most of them were holy spirits. If Ziqin hadn't notified them in advance and had forcibly mobilized these holy spirits to fight, the extent of destruction that could have been caused was unimaginable. However, Ziqin had allowed them to leave. What kind of loss would this be to the Tianwu world? Mo Jintian also sighed and said, What Ziqin did is really puzzling, but I have to say that it's very admirable. Out of all the people present who could do what Ziqin did, so many people have left. How many people will be left in Ziqin's world? Mod said, When the time comes, will Ziqin be the only one left when we fight our way in? This possibility existed. Ziqin had sacrificed himself to save the lives of others. That's not very likely. Don't forget what the real battle strength of Ziqin's world is. Mo reminded him. If the god race hadn't come to help this time, with the strength of the demon race, it would be impossible for us to attack Ziqin's world. This wasn't a casual remark. It had been unanimously agreed upon by the demon race. The time when they were tricked by the Leizheng family didn't count. The originally lively world had become noisy this time. Many people had left. In addition to those people, many shops had also closed one after another. Ziqin didn't stop those people from leaving, but he had to stop these shops. They could leave if they wanted to, but they had to leave the things in the shops behind. Of course, Ziqin would buy them at the price of resources, but he would have to give them a discount during this period. The coming war was bound to last for a long time. Without the support of the outside world, the Tianwu world had to be self-sufficient. Therefore, the various resources here had to be left behind for long-term replenishment and battle. Soon, the shops closed their doors. Ziqin went to find Zhou Lina to discuss the details of the battle. For example, how to distribute merit points and how to exchange them for resources. Some people left, but some people came, and there were quite a few of them. Li Haoqing, the spirit race, and the second patriarch of the Meridian race, the 4 Saint Venerables, all came to the Tianwu world. At the same time, little Lei, Lei Wuxuan, Grace, and the others also came. They didn't come alone. They brought teams with them. Even the Grace family had come. Chapter 4785. When the Holy Thunder Clan went into hiding, Lei Jinke gave everyone a choice: stay or leave. With Lei Zhang as the leader, of course, they had to leave. The Lei Zhang family, who had been suppressed by Ziqin for many years, also became active because of Lei Jinke's appearance. He stirred up some trouble for no reason and had the intention of showing off his presence. Lei Zhang, who had disappeared for many years, once again appeared in everyone's sight as a sacred venerable. The broken arm from back then had already grown back. Some people chose to go into hiding with the Holy Thunder Clan, but of course, there were also people who stayed. The GRA family was one of them because the Holy Thunder Clan had completely disappointed them. Behind the arrogant Lei Zhang family, there might be Lei Jinke. After cooperating with Ziqin for many years, they had already walked on the opposite path from the Lei Zhang family. Once they left this time, no one dared to imagine what kind of situation the GRA family would face in the future. After all, the most promising person in the GRA family was Grace, but compared to sacred venerable Lei Zhang, Grace's status was still too low. Therefore, after much consideration, they left for the future of the family. Not a part of them stayed, but the whole family left, leaving no one behind. This was a huge gamble. Fortunately, what made them feel more at ease was that there were also a few sacred venerables who left. This should be the biggest comfort for the future. Some of the core members also came, and they had fought side by side with Ziqin. This time, the Holy Thunder Clan was too ruthless, so they also left. They also brought a group of followers with them. There were also many people from some families who were on good terms with Ziqin, but they did not completely cut off their relationship with the Holy Thunder Clan like the GRA family. Of course, before they came out, they naturally had to draw a clear line with their families, so they were all considered to have been expelled. Ziqin was very touched by everyone's arrival, and he immediately sent people to arrange a place for everyone to stay. Chang Ho looked at Lei Di from afar and said that he was not too stupid. For many years, he had never liked Lei Jinke. He didn't have a good impression of that fellow. Previously, he had even nagged Ziqin to think of a plan to completely get rid of Lei Jinke in the other world. If the Holy Thunder Clan were to be managed by Lei Jinke, it would be destroyed sooner or later. The sudden disappearance of the Holy Thunder Clan shocked the Celestials and demons, but it did not affect the higher-ups of the two races. Lei Jinke had already seen through their true intentions. It was understandable that he chose to leave after coming out of seclusion. Therefore, no one pursued the disappearance of the Holy Thunder Clan. On the contrary, the gods and devils began to advance side by side towards Ziqin's Tianwu world. As they advanced, an endless stream of experts came to support them. There were half-step holy venerates and holy venerates among them. After the initial chaos, those who had to leave had left, and those who had to stay had stayed. The Tianwu world had returned to peace. A group of core disciples and the higher-ups of the Tianwu world gathered together. The gods and demons were already approaching. Ziqin needed to come up with a battle plan, or rather, where should he place the battlefield this time? Ziqin was actually quite conflicted about this. The Tianwu world was Ziqin's greatest reliance. He could guarantee that none of the demons who entered this place would leave alive. However, he only had this one world. If the initial battle was placed here, it would definitely affect the normal operation of the world to a certain extent. However, if it was placed in the outside world, Ziqin's three main forces would be restricted. It would undoubtedly be sending them to their deaths. If he found a few worlds in advance and placed them outside the Tianwu world, they would not appear. This was because there were too many experts coming, and there were even half-step holy venerates among them. A temporary world might be destroyed in an instant. After thinking about it and discussing it with a group of experts, Ziqin still decided to place the battlefield outside the world and fight with people in the early stages. After many years of development, the main force of the spirit race in Zichen's world had also reached an extremely large and terrifying level. It would not be a problem to maintain it for a period of time in the early stages. It was equivalent to a large-scale training of the troops. Many extreme core disciples and 9-star core disciples each led a team and then scattered outside the Tianwu world, waiting for the arrival of the gods and demons. Zichen did not fight. It was not that he was unwilling, but that everyone hoped that he could break through as soon as possible. Once Zichen became a holy venerate, the combat power of the Tianwu world would be even stronger. At that time, who would dare to come? The army of gods and demons arrived outside Zichen's world. There was an army of nearly 10 million soldiers, which was extremely spectacular. Luo Qishui and the others led people out and then divided the army of 10 million gods and demons. A 9-star god walked out from the front. He looked forward and said with a smile, "I heard that you were abandoned by the Holy Thunder clan. You must be caught off guard, right? Don't worry. I will give you some time to relax. Now, I want to fight you one-on-one. Who will come out and fight with me?" As the representative of the Tianwu world, Luo Qishui walked out. He could not let the extreme core disciples fight in the first battle. That would make the Tianwu world seem too weak. Luo Qishui carried a long sword on his back and walked out in the air. Behind him there were shouts. "I'll start with you first." The 9-star god race being smiled faintly as he charged forward. He did not use a weapon. Divine light bloomed as he punched at Luo Qishui. Luo Qishui threw out a palm to meet the attack. With a loud bang, his body flew back nearly 100 feet. A mere spirit race wants to compete with me in terms of physical strength? You overestimate yourself. The other party sneered and continued to move forward. A second punch appeared. The greatest advantage of the god race was their physical strength. This talent was stronger than that of the devil race, so it was normal for the other party to be at a disadvantage when fighting with Luo Qishui. Fortunately, the two sides were not far apart. They went back and forth and fought for hundreds of rounds. The others also watched patiently and gave a few comments from time to time, but they were all for the god race. As for Luo Qishui's side, there was nothing outstanding. In the blink of an eye, nearly 1,000 moves had passed. After the two of them exchanged palms, they both retreated. "Why don't you use your sword?" The 9-star god race asked. The methods of the spirit race are to rely on external forces and directly use weapons. Today, I will show you the absolute power of the god race. Luo Qishui certainly would not refuse. Moreover, this was also the first battle. Of course, he could not embarrass the Tianwu world. Therefore, the long sword appeared behind Luo Qishui. Accompanied by a sword light, the 9-star god race stood there motionless. There was a sword hole in his chest and blood was gushing out. Killed in one blow. The expressions of the people who were watching the battle calmly changed. This was an outcome that no one had expected. With a flash of light, the long sword flew back and fell into Luo Qishui's hand. The essence of this sword had already changed, but it was so sharp because a little bit of demon bone material was added to it. Chapter 4786. The result of this battle was out of everyone's expectations. They thought it would be an evenly matched battle, but it ended in an instant. A god race leader sighed and said, "This guy is too unscrupulous. He doesn't know the rules at all. Since that's the case, let's begin." He waved his hand, and the god race behind him pressed forward. A battle broke out. However, not all of the troops joined the battle. Only about 1/10 of them joined the battle. The heaven martial world began to send people to defend. A large-scale battle erupted. It could be considered a heroic one. As for how tragic it was, it couldn't be considered tragic. Once someone was injured, they would immediately withdraw from the battlefield, unless they were unlucky enough to meet someone who could kill them instantly. After the god race attacked, the demon race also attacked. Mo Zhengtian's position was relatively close to the front, and Mo Yizhan was behind him. Looking at the battlefield in front of her, Mo Yizhan frowned. Mo Zhengtian smiled and said, "What do you see?" Mo Yizhan said, "This is different from the life-or-death battle I imagined." "It's not a life-or-death battle to begin with," Mo Zhengtian said. "To put it bluntly, it's a battle of attrition. We'll see who can last until the end." Mo Yizhan noticed that the Holy Venerables and even the half-step Holy Venerables in the crowd didn't make a move. They were still hiding in the dark. This battle was still a battle of the Holy Spirits. Mo Yizhan didn't quite understand what this meant. The god race and demon race hated Zichen to the core, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they wanted to skin Zichen alive. However, they had fought their way here with great difficulty. Why didn't they seize the time? No matter how extraordinary Zichen's world was, it was definitely no match for the god race and demon race. Why were they doing this now? Weren't they worried that Zichen would give them a huge surprise after breaking through to become a holy venerate? Zichen's legendary deeds had long been spread. Being invincible wasn't something that could be casually said. Was no one afraid? When the time came, Zichen would be a holy venerate, and it would be easy for him to deal with those of the same realm. Mo Jingtian seemed to have guessed Mo Yizhan's thoughts. The higher-ups have their own plans. It's meaningless for us to worry blindly. He smiled. And this time, even if the sky falls down, there won't be any accidents. Because one Zichen can't compare to the entire celestial and demon race. They naturally have their reasons for choosing this strategy. All we can do is follow their orders. Mo nodded shakily. However, she was still doubtful. She was different from Mo Jingtian. She thought about many more things. At this moment, a holy venerate aura appeared behind them. They immediately turned around and saw Mo Wuda. Mo Yizhan immediately bowed and called out, "Father!" Actually, he was her father-in-law, but after changing her surname, Mo Yizhan had been using this title. Mo Yizhan stood behind Mo Wuda and looked at Mo Yi with a smile. "Greetings, my lord." Mo Jingtian and the others immediately bowed. No matter what, the Holy Venerate was a high and mighty existence worthy of respect. It was said that Zichen had once called Lei Zheng an old bastard. Such disrespectful behavior was rarely seen. "There's no need to be so courteous. I just happened to be here, so I came to see you all." Mo Wuda waved his hand and looked at Mo Yizhan with gentle eyes. "Your performance was not bad. I'm very pleased. Since the invasion until now, Mo Yizhan's contributions were enough to rank him in the top 3. However, his losses were the smallest. Other than those disgusting rumors, Mo Yizhan's performance this time was almost perfect. The Holy Venerates had once discussed Mo Yizhan's behavior. From the perspective of benefits, Mo Yizhan's actions were very worthy of affirmation. However, the Holy Venerates didn't reject the rumors. After all, if a person's life was too smooth, it was inevitable that they would become arrogant. Appropriate beating would help them grow. At the very least, they wouldn't forget their own status. Because of Mo Wuda's arrival, Mo Jingtian signaled his demon race in advance to withdraw their troops. Since an elder had come to visit, they should at least have a meal. On the way back, Mo Di and Mo Yan's Holy Venerate from the Danzua clan also came. This surprised the two of them, but at the same time they were very proud. When they walked, their backs seemed to be straighter than before. In the past, the 3 Holy Venerates had quite a bit of enmity between them. However, as the younger generation's contributions to the Saint Spirit world increased, in front of huge benefits, the enmity naturally disappeared with a smile. Among the 3 Holy Venerates, Mo Wuda's relationship with others was the best. The main reason for this was that the slots that Mo Yizhan had taken out to enter the strange world had earned him a good reputation. During the meal, As the eldest of the three in name, Mo Jingtian toasted the elders one by one, appearing extremely courteous. We should be staying here for a very long time. So, Jingtian, if you have any problems, you can come find us, said Mo Wuda with a smile. Mo Jingtian said in surprise. Even the Holy Venerates said that it would be a very long time. Naturally, it won't be a short time. It seems that Zichen's world is rather difficult to deal with. Could it be that it will take 10,000 years? Mo Wuda smiled. It won't take that long. However, we don't know how long it will take. Perhaps it will depend on the Tianwu continent. Yes, that is Zichen's world. Mo Yizhen's expression changed. She seemed to have guessed something, but she didn't say anything at this time. Over the next period of time, Mo Yizhen secretly observed. More holy venerates had arrived. Once, when she was drinking with a disciple of the devil race, he casually said, "It seems that nearly 30% of the holy venerates are rushing in this direction." That news shocked Mo Yizhen. It had to be known that 30% of the holy venerates represented the entire devil world. Just how many were there? Not only that, but there was also the god race. Furthermore, they were only facing the Tianwu world. Could it be that the threat of Zichen had already surpassed the threat of the holy race? After all, when they were dealing with the Holy Thunder Clan, there hadn't been such a huge commotion. The battle continued. It was as if both sides were refining weapons. Every day they would fight. However, the casualties weren't too great. This kind of war of attrition would last for decades. A few decades ago, Mo Jingtian and the others would still come to watch over this place. But after a few decades, they rarely appeared. In fact, even across the entire battlefield, it was rare to see a 9-star existence. Everyone was in seclusion, preparing to charge into the Holy Venerate realm in one go. Time passed. Another few decades later, good news came from the devil race. Those existences who had obtained the Fiend God's inheritance had finally taken a small step forward. They had gone from half-step Holy Venerates to true Holy Venerates. Chapter 4787. To the demon race, this was great news. But to the god race, this was not good news at all. Similarly, it was the same for the Tianwu world. Mo Jingtian and the others did not appear. On the battlefield, there were still only 8-star saint spirits. The holy sages of the gods and demons came, but they did not fight. The holy sages of the Tianwu world did not come out either. A holy sages of the demon race quietly came to the battlefield. He looked at the battlefield in front of him and only said, "Attack." The real siege began. The main forces of the gods and demons pressed toward the Tianwu world. The pressure on everyone increased greatly. Then they began to retreat until they completely retreated into the Tianwu world. Before Zichen went into seclusion, he said that once the teams retreated, they had to report this matter to him. He walked out of the treehouse and looked up at the defeated teams returning to the city. The Tianwu world was his only support. Once the gods and demons entered, it would be the real final battle. He thought that before the gods and demons entered, he would have broken through. He did not expect that he would still be 9-star. Zichen waved his hand, and the protection outside the Tianwu world disappeared. This meant that the gods and demons could enter freely without any obstruction. Not long after, battle cries rang out in the sky. The gods and demons descended upon the Tianwu world. Zichen, who looked up, could see the gods and demons, but they could not see Zichen. They could not even see Zichen's world. What they saw was a patch of green vegetation. As far as the eye could see, there was nothing but dense ancient trees. Zichen did not look at the situation outside, but he had already guessed that there must be many holy sages standing guard. They would not give him a chance to escape. Zichen could not see where the future lay. Would he break through and become a holy sage? But could he break through? Or was he really facing death this time? Standing outside the treehouse, Zichen was a little distracted. He shook his head and dispelled the distracting thoughts in his mind. As the Lord of the world, the war had not yet begun. How could he be pessimistic? Countless people lived here. If he was pessimistic, what would the others do? Zi-Chen sorted out his emotions and turned back to the treehouse. The most important thing now was to break through as soon as possible. Once Xiao-Qin became a holy venerate, perhaps the situation would change. Just as Zi-Chen returned to the treehouse, gods and demons descended from the sky and landed in various parts of the Tianwu world. The dense forest automatically opened up a path for them. As they entered, the forest closed up again, forming a no-fly zone. The first batch of gods and devils to enter the world didn't even cause the slightest ripple before vanishing into the sea of trees. When the other gods and demons saw this, they stopped descending and attacked the ground below. All the ancient trees were connected together, forming a net-like restriction that blocked all the attacks. This was Zi-Chen's world, and it would not be easy to conquer it. After a few more attempts, the remaining gods and devils retreated to the outskirts of Tianwu world. As for how to attack next, they would have to discuss it again. In fact, using holy venerates was the simplest and most effective method. After all, there were many holy venerates outside. However, for some reason, the gods and demons gave up on the simplest and most straightforward method. After the second entry, a few half-step holy venerates came and opened up a path for them. They took the lead and entered first. Then, they destroyed the nearby ancient trees. Soon, a spacious area appeared nearby. The other gods and demons quickly entered and worked together to expand in all directions. The weakness of Zi-Chen's world was the half-step holy venerates. However, it was not that there were none. After many years of development, although the Lost Clan had yet to produce a holy venerate, some half-step holy venerates had joined the battlefield. As a result, the gods and demons were defeated again, and only a portion of them returned. However, the higher-ups didn't care about these losses and continued to send people in. During this period, the number of half-step holy venerates was still increasing. They didn't care about the number of casualties. What they cared about was the pressure. As long as Zi-Chen felt the pressure, it would be fine. Under such pressure, he could quickly grow until he broke through and then die. The gods and demons had failed again and again, and many of their elites had died. However, the Lost Clan was also dying, and every one of them was very precious. Not only did Zi-Chen feel the pressure, but the pressure was also not small. Outside the martial heaven world, there are countless gods and devils. They had completely surrounded the world. Not even a fly would be able to get out. The surrounding void was constantly twisting and distorting, creating ripples in the void. This was a unique method of the demon race. Under these ripples, no one could teleport away. This was to prevent Zi-Chen's spirit core. After all, with the spirit core, Zi-Chen could go anywhere he wanted. Lu Shanyao and Ning Hua stood in the air, looking at the scene below. They remained silent for a long time. After a long time, Ning Hua said, "How about this?" Lu Shanyao nodded and said, "From the looks of it, the future of the divine spirit realm will depend on this final battle. Then let's go and wait for the great battle to come." Ning Hua smiled bitterly and said, "However, no matter how I look at it, there is no chance of victory. This generation of the Ling clan is really disappointing." Lu Shanyao said, "Then you should pray that the Ling clan in the next life will be more united." Next life. Ning Hua sighed and said, "If I die in battle, then so be it. I hope there won't be a next life. After living 2 lives and seeing so many people, I'm already tired." "Why? The battle hasn't started yet, and you're already prepared to die?" The ripples surged, and another ancient holy venerable appeared. Then more ripples shook from the surroundings, and more holy venerables appeared. They were the ancient holy venerables who guarded the 2 gates. They had silently contributed to the Ling clan for many years. No one knew of their existence. As the pattern of the world changed, this world no longer needed them to guard. This time, they gathered here to participate in the final battle. It had to be said that the Ling clan in this life was very aggrieved. All the major forces were extremely selfish. So many tragic battles were fought by small figures. The scene of many experts fighting to the death, like in the past, could no longer be seen. These ancient holy venerables saw all the battles and were naturally tired. More than 20 ancient holy venerables gathered and then descended from the sky, forming a holy venerable pressure that even the void couldn't resist. Outside Zichen's Tianwu world, the god race and the demon race quickly retreated, shocked. Even the expressions of many holy venerables changed greatly. This aura was much stronger than theirs. Old man Ge's figure rose into the sky, and he smiled faintly at the distance. "It seems that you have chosen this place after all." Ning Hua said, "Pray. This time, we won't let you go again. I hope you have the ability." Everyone descended and entered Zichen's world. Just as they entered Zichen's world suddenly became unstable. 2 old men, one in black and the other in white, also appeared in a certain city. Chapter 4788. After the 2 old men who made a living as storytellers appeared, they greeted everyone with a smile. The battle outside was tense, but the city was still lively. There were crowds of people on the streets, and there were also shops and restaurants that were open. The other people who lived here seemed to know the 2 of them and nodded kindly when they passed by. The 2 old men blended into the life of the city. Even ancient Tree King Jono did not notice it. Occasionally, when he passed by this place, he seemed to have a familiar feeling in his mind. The door of the tavern was open, and the white-robed old man began his daily business. As for the black-robed old man, he mainly made a living by telling Zichen's dark history. Of course, there was no room for him to live here, so he relied on the white-robed old man to support him. On this day, the 2 of them found a very small tavern. It was said that it was opened by a native of the Tianwu continent. "Looks like we're going to witness another rise and fall." The white-robed old man drank the wine in his bowl. The wine was strong and had a mellow fragrance. Although it could not be compared to those good wines, it was better at a fair price. "Aren't we already used to it?" The black-robed old man said indifferently, "The world is damaged, and the 2 of us are unemployed because of this. We can tour the world for countless years. Isn't that great?" The white-robed old man did not say anything, but he was filled with endless emotions. The war in the current world was obviously different from the previous era. The current spirit race was incomparably disappointing in all aspects. Fortunately, there was still Zichen, which gave the world a little flame of hope. But how long could this flame of hope last? Would it gradually extinguish like a candle flame, or would it burn fiercely like a single spark? The old man could not guess, so he came here to see the direction of the current spirit race with his own eyes. Perhaps there would be no more spirit race in the future. Zichen walked out of his room and personally welcomed the arrival of a group of ancient sacred sages. He was very surprised and even a little overwhelmed by the favor. One had to know that there should only be so many ancient sacred sages alive in the current world, but they had all come to his world. This place was not like the other world, and the respect that should be shown was still necessary. Zichen cupped his fists and bowed to everyone, looking at them with anticipation. Ning Hua went forward and patted him on the shoulder. "Don't look, no one broke through." Why? Zichen didn't understand. It had been many years since they left this world. According to everyone's talent, they should have reached the demon realm by now. In such a situation, if a demon really appeared, it might be a magnificent feat to turn the tide. The spirit race has fallen, and the world's providence no longer favors us. The great Tao has been forcefully divided into 3 parts. With the spirit realm constantly being eaten away, it will be extremely difficult to break through. This is also the main reason why you haven't broken through yet. Ninghua said, but we didn't break through because of the illusory restrictions of heaven and earth. Ziqin was puzzled. Ninghua pointed to the sky and said, the entire spiritual realm seems to be shrouded by a mysterious force, so everyone can't touch the so-called demon realm. It's not just us, but also the god and demon races. This was only Ninghua's guess. As for the specific reason, no one could say for sure. But at the very least, Ziqin knew why he couldn't cross the threshold. You have to speed up. Many people from the demon race have already broken through, and some of them are even existences from the same era as you. Finally, Ninghua said, in order to prepare for the arrival of the final battle, we discussed before coming here. In the following time, we will wholeheartedly help you forge some weapons. I heard that you have a lot of demon materials here. Take them out, and we will do our best to forge more weapons before the final battle. Okay. Ziqin certainly didn't have any objections. This was a good thing that couldn't be asked for. Among the original Holy Venerables, only Lady was able to condense a portion of demon bones. It was extremely difficult for others to do so. Only ancient Holy Venerables could completely condense demon bones. Back in the other world, Ziqin had the ability to condense demon bones. But after coming out, he couldn't. He could only look on as these good things remained motionless in front of him. Ziqin took out all the demon bones he had, not hiding anything. At this time, whether or not he could survive was still a question. There was no point in hoarding resources. In this world, who could survive? Probably everyone had hope, except for Ziqin. Ziqin was very touched that others were willing to come at this time, especially these ancient Holy Venerables. Not only did he take out the demon bones, but he also took out all the inner cores. After that, Ziqin continued to cultivate in seclusion. The ancient Holy Venerables began to condense all kinds of weapons. The 9-star Holy Spirits had yet to come out of seclusion, and those below 8-star were still fighting. Every time the gods and demons invaded, they would return in failure. Their losses were not small, but they would be able to attack again very soon. Not only did their morale not decrease, but the pressure on Ziqin's side increased. In other places, the flames of war continued, but the offensive weakened. This was because the gods and demons had transferred most of their forces to outside the Tianwu world. The entire Saint Spirit realm knew the reason. Some people were shocked. Ziqin had only been in the Saint Spirit realm for a few years and had only developed his own forces for a few years. How could he be so important to the gods and demons? However, there were also many people who clapped and cheered. They felt that the heavens had opened their eyes. The arrogant Ziqin was finally going to be unlucky. Unknowingly, there are no traces of 9-star Holy Spirits in the entire Saint Spirit realm. Everyone was trying to break through in seclusion. However, there seemed to be a problem on the spirit race's side. Almost no one was breaking through. On the contrary, the gods and demons who had entered the alternate world together were breaking through one after another. Finally, one day, a powerful aura surged out of Mo Jingtian's room. Then, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged wildly. A pressure that belonged to a holy venerate spread out from the room. Mo Jingtian had become a holy venerate. Similar scenes kept happening on the demon race and god race's side. As for the gods and demons, every additional holy venerate increased the pressure on the spirit race. The great Tao's favor that no one could see had already tilted. In the small tavern, the white-robed elder who had just finished a day's work looked out of the window. He said, "It seems that everyone has sensed it. With the appearance of the gods and demons, holy venerates, all the cultivators of the spirit race felt the pressure. At the same time, it was as if there were invisible shackles on their bodies, greatly affecting their cultivation speed. At this moment, through the unseen perception, all the 9-star Holy Spirits understood what had happened. The heavens and earth's favor for the spirit race was rapidly weakening. The gods and demons had snatched away the favor of the natural laws. Therefore, the gods' and demons' breakthroughs were exceptionally fast, but they were still unable to take that step. However, it was already too late to realize this now. Everything could not be undone. The spirit race's early retreat had led to the current situation. Moreover, this was only the beginning. As time passed, existences of other levels would also gradually sense it. Perhaps one day, if the spirit race wanted to become a one-star Holy Spirit, they would have to cross a huge threshold. The black-robed elder snorted and said, "You reap what you sow. It's too late to regret." Now, with the current situation, it's even more difficult for the spirit race to become a Holy Venerate. Even ordinary Holy Venerates are like this, let alone Zichen. I originally thought that with Zichen in this era, it would not be so insignificant. However, I did not expect that because of the suppression of the heavens and earth, Zichen would not even be qualified to become a Holy Venerate. The white-robed elder did not object this time. If this situation continued without the favor of the heavens and earth, it would be impossible for Zichen to become a Holy Venerate, unless a miracle happened. However, when it came to the great Tao of the heavens and earth, how could there be a miracle? Even Zichen, the creator of miracles, could not create a miracle. In a place very far away from the Tianwu world, there was a mysterious mountain. It was surrounded by clouds all year round, and its true appearance could not be seen clearly. Today, the aura of a Holy Venerate suddenly spread out from it. Someone from the spirit race had broken through. To be able to break through at this time was simply a miracle. This was the Tianyan Peak. Shang-Ti, who had her eyes closed, opened her eyes after sensing the aura of a Holy Venerate. She turned around and looked in the direction of the Tianyan Peak. Suddenly, she said, "So the turning point is here." A person walked out from the peak. Her white clothes fluttered in the wind like a fairy. She was Su Mengyao, Holy Venerate Su Mengyao. Chapter 4789. The white-robed old man also raised his head to look at the sky. His expression changed. Who is it? Who is it that can win the spirit race's favor at this time? He was extremely shocked. This was equivalent to winning the favor of the great path for the spirit race among the countless demons and deities. It was equivalent to snatching it from the two races. How incredible was this? After all, even Zichen, who was truly favored by the great path, had not broken through yet. Furthermore, due to the increasing number of Holy Venerates among the deities and demons, Zichen was firmly suppressed and would completely lose his chance to break through. But now, because of this opportunity, some unpredictable changes were about to occur. Interesting. I did not expect the spirit race to have a turn of events at this time. Following that, the white-robed old man chuckled. Since the change had appeared, everything was unknown. Suddenly, a strong pressure appeared in Shimor region. This pressure formed a might that completely enveloped Shimor region. The false demons living here had no idea what was going on. For a moment, they were a little flustered. Could it be that the demon race had invaded? All along, the demons had tried to rope them in, wanting them to formally return to the demon race. However, they were all rejected by the master of Shimor region. As a result, the two sides started fighting. Just then, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky. The image of a huge ape appeared out of nowhere. It was so tall that the entire Shimor region seemed tiny in front of it. Its eyes were crimson red, and demonic chi lingered around it. It was like a real demon god. This feeling was like the scene of the Holy Thunder Clan's tree of lightning disappearing with the Holy Thunder Clan. That huge figure gave off a feeling of supremacy. That huge ape image lasted for a very long time. When it disappeared, there was one more Holy Venerate in the entire Shimor region. The demonic ape in the room scratched its head. After breaking through to become a Holy Venerate, it was more confused than excited. It was only a step away from the door. However, it was this step that prevented it from opening the door and entering. It tried again and again, but it failed again and again. However, not long ago, this opportunity came. It was as if someone had helped it open a crack in the door. With a push, it became a holy venerate. Could it be that the drop of blood given by that senior worked? The devil ape thought of the second level of this strange world. It was the senior who was suppressed under the mountain. At that time, when everyone was searching for opportunities, the senior secretly gave him a drop of blood. No one knew. At the core of the Buddhist domain, a large Buddha suddenly appeared. The large Buddha put his palms together and chanted the name of Buddha. Countless golden ripples surged out. This was pure Buddhist power that enveloped the Buddhist domain. Wherever the Buddha's light passed, everyone felt as if their souls were being cleansed. They all bowed towards the depths. Many old monks stood up and put their palms together in the direction of the great Buddha. They knew that this was their junior brother breaking through, taking that step. From then on, the Buddhist tribe gained another holy sovereign. Not only did they have a powerhouse to oversee the tribe, but they also received the blessings of the heavens and earth. Holy venerates should appear one after another in the Buddhist domain. In the sword domain, a sharp sword chi soared into the sky. Then the aura of a sword sovereign appeared. Ever since the first wisp of heavens will had appeared at the Tianyan Peak, the heavens will had changed little by little. Holy venerates had slowly appeared within the Ling tribe. One after another, the two old men in the Tianmu world could clearly sense the direction of the great path. The originally infinite darkness of the Ling tribe had changed because of that ray of light. Now, the great path had appeared once again. The holy venerates of the Ling tribe had also appeared like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. If one sensed carefully or looked down from an extremely high place, one would discover that holy venerates had appeared in all directions with the Tianmu world as the center, or rather, with the Tianyan Peak as the beginning. Holy venerates had started to appear in the Ling tribe. The great path's blessings had started to approach the Tianmu world from all directions. Is this the will of the heavens? The black-robed old man was stunned. He could not see the situation clearly. Perhaps. The white-robed old man smiled faintly. The originally unfavorable situation for the Ling tribe had actually turned around. In this way, once the great path's blessings spread to all parts of the Saint Spirit realm, Zichen's breakthrough would be a matter of course. The god race and the demon race also sensed this situation. Hence, they strengthened their attacks once again. Nearly 10 million soldiers entered Zichen's Tianmu world. This time, they were led by many half-step holy venerates. Large amounts of vegetation in the forest disappeared. Groups of humanoid creatures could not withstand a single blow from the half-step holy venerates. The god race and the demon race formed a huge army and started to attack the various cities. Everything in their path was destroyed. The power of half-step holy venerates was extremely fatal. Due to the suppression of numbers, the vestigial race could only retreat continuously. Lena was not in closed-door cultivation. She could see the entire battlefield through the ancient Tree King. Hence, she had the 9-star Holy Spirits come out of closed-door cultivation one by one. In a situation where there were not many half-step Holy Venerates, she could only let the 9-star Holy Spirits fight against half-step Holy Venerates. As for what they relied on, they added a little demon bone to their weapons, which greatly increased the quality of their holy weapons. Luo Qishui was the first to come out of closed-door cultivation. He had already become the representative of the Holy Thunder Clan. After he came out, he held the sword and stepped onto the battlefield. On the battlefield, Luo Qishui held the sword with his right hand. A strong aura surged out of his right hand as he swung his sword. The world buzzed and trembled. A hazy sword light shot towards the half-step holy venerate in front. Pooh! Blood spurted out as the half-step holy venerate flew back. A bloody hole appeared in his chest. The half-step holy venerate, who originally had a disdainful expression, now looked at Luo Chishue in shock. He was actually injured by a mere 9-star Holy Spirit. Luo Chishue smiled coldly and swung his sword a second time. Like before, he held the sword with his right hand. Zi Qin had previously obtained Lei Zheng's holy venerate arm, which he had condensed into his own body. This sword strike contained some of the holy venerate's aura. Naturally, it was strong. After the second sword strike, the injured half-step holy venerate retreated. Swarms of black ants appeared from the ground and charged at the demons. As long as the strongest force retreated, all of this was nothing to Jono. More 9-star holy spirits appeared in other places. Some faced half-step holy venerates alone while others worked together. When the vestigial race members saw this scene, their eyes lit up. If they had such weapons, their combat prowess would increase significantly. Hence, Tasha stepped forward to discuss this matter with Jolina, even if she had to pay a certain price. In response, Jolina generously agreed to everyone's request. She would give them a certain amount of demonic demon materials in advance, which could be deducted from their future military merits. Chapter 4790. The battle lasted for hundreds of years. Both sides had suffered great losses. The enormous Tianwu world had already fallen by about a third under the constant siege of the celestial and demon races. Luo Qishue and the others had no time to cultivate. They had to participate in every battle and were mentally exhausted. Jono's ancient forest had been battered into pieces, and its combat power had been greatly reduced. The mother nest and the underground black ants had also suffered great losses. However, the celestial and demon races had suffered even greater losses. The total number of people who had died in battle had exceeded 20 million, and it was still increasing. Among them, the number of half-holy venerables who had died in battle had reached 10. During this time, they had fought their way into a city. However, they had to retreat again and again in the face of the attacks of the powerful cultivators in the city. From the looks of it, the Tianwu world was bound to fall. It was only a matter of time. Outside the Tianwu world, many holy venerables from the two races had gathered. If all of them attacked together, they could destroy Zi Chen's world in an instant. However, they did not. Instead, they stood guard outside and did not launch any attacks. Even if they knew that with each passing day, countless gods and devils would die in battle, Old Man Go met with the devil race again to discuss the future attack plan. They tentatively decided that they would attack Zi Chen's world in a month's time. To them, who had endless lives, a month was too fast. When the appointed time arrived, more than 10 holy venerables led a team to attack Zi Chen's Tianwu world. During this time, an ancient holy venerable followed them. In this battle, Cheng Ho and Ning Hua fought. While repelling the demon race, they also killed a holy venerable. The remaining holy venerable returned with injuries. The next day, another 10 holy venerables entered the battlefield. The Tianwu world sent out another 2 ancient holy venerables. This was because the Tianwu world only had more ancient holy venerables. Battle after battle, it seemed like a probing battle, but it also seemed like a decisive battle. Many people died every day. After a month of battle, more than half of Zi Chen's Tianwu world had fallen. Jono's ancient tree was no longer a threat to the two races. Thus, one place after another was vacated for the Celestials and demons to set up camp. Mo Ijan, who was one step away from the Holy Venerate realm, was forcefully awakened from her closed-door cultivation. Not only him, but also Mo Di and Mo Yen. When the three gathered together and saw that Mo Jingtian had already become a Holy Venerate, they quickly congratulated him. At the same time, the three of them felt a bit regretful because they were going to die soon. If they didn't come out now, everything would be better. There's no need to feel dejected. I called you out earlier because I didn't want you to miss the final moment. Mo Jingtian smiled faintly. It seemed that after becoming a Saint Venerate, not only had his temperament changed, even his nature had changed. Oh! Mo Yi's heart trembled. It's time for the final battle. More or less. Right now, the forces gathered outside are enough to destroy Zi Chen's world. It doesn't matter if there are a few more of you, but if you miss this battle, you will regret it for life. Mo, Zhengtian said, because this signifies the end of an era. The three of them immediately became excited. This was indeed a rare scene. Under Mo Zhengtian's lead, Moe and the other two flew in the direction of Tianwu World. Before they even got close, the three of them already felt a strong, oppressive aura. There were many holy venerates from both the god race and demon race. Even if they deliberately restrained their auras, the invisible pressure still made the three of them feel oppressed. With Mo Jingtian's arrival, many people nodded at him. Let's go. I'll bring you directly to Zi Chen's world. Mo Jingtian didn't stay there for long. Moe looked around. She realized that the troops that had arrived were neat and orderly. They should be ready for battle. We already have a stronghold in Zi Chen's world. Mo asked curiously. We've already conquered many territories. Next, we'll start the final battle with those territories. When they arrived outside Zi Chen's world, they didn't encounter any form of obstruction. Where's Zi Chen? He hasn't broken through yet? Moe asked with a trembling voice. No, he hasn't appeared in a long time. It's said that he's cultivating with all his might. He's lucky. Last time, I heard the ancient holy venerates say that if it weren't for the sudden change in the world's favor, Zi Chen probably wouldn't have had the chance to break through. Mo Jingtian smiled indifferently. He finally had something faster than Zi Chen. Why? What do you mean, why? Mo Jingtian looked at Mo. If it's just to attack Zi Chen's world, I believe that the god race and demon race can do it. Why wait until now to attack? They're even deliberately giving Zi Chen time to grow. In truth, as long as one wasn't mentally ill, one could see this problem. However, no one knew the real reason. If they really wanted Zi Chen dead, they would have conquered the Tianwu continent 100 years ago. But they didn't. In the past 100 years, the two races had lost many people because of this. I'm also not sure. But this time, the ancient holy venerates of the god race and demon race have all come here. Perhaps they want to completely destroy the spirit race here. After all, the majority of the spirit race's ancient holy venerates are here. With Mo Zhengtian's status, he didn't have the qualifications to know the true secrets. After entering Zi Chen's world, Moe saw stronghold after stronghold. Back then, Zi Chen's world had been said to be unbreakable. Now most of it was empty. However, the ancient trees between the cities were still connected. They looked very imposing. However, in front of absolute power, tearing apart these defenses was just a matter of time. In any case, with just a glance, Moe knew that Zi Chen was in danger. Even if he became a holy venerate, he might not be able to break through. A few days later, the main attack began. The god race and demon race's armies pressed forward. In a short time, they destroyed all the ancient trees that connected the cities of Zi Chen's world. Then, under the lead of many holy venerates, they began to advance into those cities. However, they encountered stubborn resistance and were forced to retreat. After this repeated 5 or 6 times, there were very few ancient trees in Zi Chen's world. As far as the eye could see, there were only isolated cities of trees. Furthermore, those tree cities were in imminent danger. It seemed like they could be broken through at any moment. Zi Chen's world had reached its final moments. If Zi Chen still couldn't break through, the Tianwu continent would fall. In the treehouse, Zi Chen opened his eyes. He stood up and looked outside the treehouse. He had gained a new comprehension of heaven and earth. At the same time, he gained a new understanding of the spirit race's laws. It was like a kind of enlightenment, but also like success had come naturally. He extended his hand, and a holy venerate's aura appeared. Chapter 4791. When the situation in the Tianwu world was at its most critical, Zichen broke through and became a holy venerate. There was no epiphany that broke through the bottleneck, and there was no clarity that cleared the fog. There was only a calm and leisurely breakthrough. The first strand of holy venerate power appeared in Zichen's palm. Looking at this power that he had yearned for even in his dreams, Zichen did not have the excited expression that he had imagined. His expression was calm, and there were no ripples in his heart. The holy venerate power belonged to a higher level of power, and it was also the most powerful power in this world. Zichen felt the treehouse tremble slightly, as if it could not withstand this pressure. Buzz! Zichen dispersed this power. In his body, the original Holy Spirit power was transforming into the holy venerate power. The power of heaven and earth surged in from all directions and entered Zichen's body. Zichen broke through, and a strange phenomenon appeared in the Tianwu world. The suppressed precepts of heaven and earth suddenly became very active. Vortexes appeared in the sky, one after another. The energy from the void was swallowed by the vortexes and surged wildly toward the Tianwu world. After this energy appeared, it was broken down into pure power by the precepts. It was like a rain of precepts that fell from the sky. It was vast and mighty, irrigating every blade of grass, every tree and every flower. It nourished everything in the world. All living beings that were compatible with the spirit tribe's precepts enjoyed great benefits at this moment. It was like a withered crop that had been irrigated by the timely rain. The half-holy venerates who were covered in the rain all had great gains. The threshold of holy venerate that they could not cross no matter what seemed to have become very short at this moment. It was right in front of them. They could reach it with just a lift of their feet. They were very excited. They all sat on the ground and broke through. They stood up and became holy venerates. As for the battle, it stopped when the strange phenomenon appeared. All the gods and demons who did not understand retreated out of the city. They retreated far away from the city. When they saw their enemies break through to holy venerate one after another, they were very shocked. The precepts of precepts covered the world densely, irrigating all living beings. Many plants grew rapidly like bamboo shoots after the rain. Then they turned into towering trees, full of green. Ancient trees began to grow in the areas that had been cleared away by the gods and devils. The black ants and mother nest creatures that had been hiding underground emerged one after another, greedily absorbing the energy rain. In this rare rain of light, their auras skyrocketed. This was a rare gift. It was a gift from the great Tao. All the creatures of the Tianwu world were blessed by the heavens and earth under this rain of light, and they reaped great benefits. This was for the living beings of the Ling race, for the gods and demons that had come here. This rain of rain was of no benefit at all. The falling rain of laws could not be blocked by energy barriers at all. Once it landed on the body, not only would it not provide any benefits, it would also make one feel as if they were sinking into a quagmire, making them feel extremely uncomfortable. This was the rejection of the great Tao. At the very least, at this moment, in this place, the great Tao of the Saint Spirit realm still favored the Ling clan. Moreover, this kind of scene of watching others break through made them feel even more uncomfortable in their hearts. The high morale from before had long disappeared. While they were shocked, their hearts were also filled with doubts. Why would such a situation occur? Moe, who had been drenched by the rain of light, trembled. He also felt uncomfortable. He looked at the strange scene around him and guessed the reason. He said in surprise, such a big commotion, "Is Zichen breaking through?" Mo Jingtian nodded. His expression became extremely solemn. Before the strange phenomenon appeared, As a holy venerate, he had already felt a powerful aura in this world. That aura made him tremble. Before he had even fought with that aura, he knew that he was no match for it. Zi-Chun breaking through to become a holy venerate was not as simple as having another holy venerate in the Tianwu world. Because of his breakthrough, the situation in the Tianwu world would change greatly. At the very least, one of the big effects that could be seen was that all the half-step holy venerates had taken that half-step. Mod and Mo Yandan Zwu were stunned. He broke through just like that? Wasn't it too fast? As the two looked at the scene before them, their hearts were filled with envy. Unfortunately, they were of the demon race. If they were of the spirit race, they might have been able to use this law rain to break through. Underground, the huge broodmother nest stayed in a space by itself. Many clumps of light were placed in front of it. These clumps of light were the size of small mountains. These were demonic beast cores. However, they had been diluted many times, so they were very large. The rain of light in the sky had been forcefully transported into this space through the laws. The moment the broodmother nest was bathed in the rain of light, it started to gobble up those diluted clumps of light, one at a time. Given the broodmother nest's current cultivation, it did not dare to gobble up the demonic beast cores. Not only would that be useless, but the energy would also be too terrifying and cause the broodmother nest to explode. After the diluted clumps of light, it was different. The energy of the demonic beast cores was continuously diluted, making it a true fortuitous encounter. Mixed with the rain of light, the broodmother nest gobbled up the diluted demonic beast cores. Its aura started to soar. Finally, it took that incredible step. The aura of a holy venerate surged in this space. The broodmother nest let out an excited roar. Perhaps it had become the first holy venerate level broodmother nest in history. The same scene was happening to the Ant Queen and the ancient Tree King Jono. This was an opportunity that Zi-Chun had prepared for them a long time ago, but he was not sure if it would help them break through. Now, it seemed like it had succeeded. It was this pure rain of light that had greatly increased their refining speed. They only needed to absorb it to become their own power. Of course, the Great Path's blessing was also the main reason. The 9-star holy spirits who stayed in the city also had similar diluted demonic beasts around them. However, they did not have as many as the broodmother nest. Even so, they broke through one after another with the help of this rain of light. For the Tianwu world, this was a year of breakthroughs. It was also a time of harvest. In the blink of an eye, the aura of a holy venerate surged in the Tianwu world. The world laws absorbed more power from the void to replenish this world. People were breaking through. When the Tianwu world was decomposing the power of the void, its grade was also increasing. Outside the Tianwu world, the void became very chaotic. The restriction that they had set up to prevent Zi-Chun from leaving using the spirit core began to tremble violently. It seemed like it could break at any time. The holy venerates of the god and demon races watched this scene. Their expressions all changed. This was too big of a commotion. Old Man quickly stepped forward and shouted, "Stabilize the restriction. Don't let our efforts go to waste. Zi-Chun has broken through. The time for a battle of life and death has come. We must not let him escape at this time." The battle of life and death had finally come after so many years of waiting. The ancient holy venerates who had lived for 2 eras all stepped forward to stabilize the restriction. At this moment, they were also very shocked. The entire void was distorting. Such a huge commotion was actually caused by Zi-Chun alone. How amazing was this? Perhaps only an existence who was favored by the Great Path could have such power. During this time, a holy venerate asked if they should charge in now. Old Man shook his head and said that there was no hurry. After all, Zi-Chun's world was in great turmoil. The Great Path's favor was very strong. If they charged in now, it would be very disadvantageous for them. Perhaps Zi-Chun could use the Great Path to forcefully erase them. Zi Chen walked out of the room. The phenomenon between heaven and earth had come to an end. Almost all those who should have received benefits had broken through. Those who did not receive any benefits were just like that. This kind of opportunity was the only one in the Tianwu world. After becoming a holy venerate, Zi Chen saw the world more clearly. After seeing the scene of the Tianwu world clearly, Zi Chen frowned slightly. The current state of the world was much more serious than he had imagined. Fortunately, this time he had broken through. This world had received a lot of favor. Powerhouses had sprung up like bamboo shoots after a rain. The situation would soon stabilize. From the looks of it, this battle was still worth fighting. Zi Chen raised his head and looked into the distance. His gaze had already seen the gods and demons outside the world. Previously, he actually had a chance to leave. The power of the spirit core was far beyond their imagination. However, Zi Chen was unwilling to leave. If he left, everyone else would have to die. In addition, Zi Chen did not think that the Tianwu world would not be able to withstand this battle, even if the number of holy venerates that had come was beyond his imagination. The situation outside had stabilized. The gods and demons had entered Zi Chen's world. The ancient tree king had broken through, but it did not continue to extend the ancient tree outside. Instead, it remained the same. The creatures and black ants that had emerged also burrowed back into the ground. The gods and demons arrived outside the city. As there was no longer the restricted airspace of the ancient tree, each of them stood in the air. They were densely packed and filled one's vision. Zi Chen was far away and looked at those powerhouses. In this situation, both sides should logically say a few words to boost their morale. However, they did not. The two sides looked at each other and did not say a word. The battle began just like that. The gods and demons invaded on a large scale and rushed directly to Zi Chen's various cities. Even the Thunder Spirit sector in the sky was attacked by the power soldiers. This was a true decisive battle. Neither side had the slightest intention of holding back. As the gods and demons approached, the first to attack were the ancient trees. After Jono became a holy venerate, the grade of the ancient trees under his control had also been greatly improved. Without the restricted airspace, every ancient tree had become an independent entity. Countless branches flew into the sky. Some were like weapons, surging with a murderous aura. Some were like spiritual snakes, soft and tough. The enemies in the sky were densely packed. There was no need for special accuracy. Clanging sounds rang out. The protection that the gods and demons had put up quickly dimmed and then shattered. Poof! Poof! In the blink of an eye, a large number of gods and demons had been pierced by the branches. Blood splattered in the air. Chapter 4792. The ancient trees led by Jono were the first to attack. Countless attacks flickered with light. They were densely packed and flew up into the sky. It was a spectacular sight. After Jono advanced to the holy venerate level, the other ancient trees also advanced. Each of them was like a smaller ancient tree king, possessing unparalleled power. Some of the branches were like sharp swords, piercing through the corpses of the gods and demons. Some wrapped around the bodies of the gods and demons, dragging them down. Light flowed on the surface of the ground. Black ants drilled out of the ground and attacked the approaching gods and demons. There were so many black ants that they instantly drowned the falling enemies. The sound of bones being gnawed could be clearly heard. From the city, it could be seen that after the gods and demons reached the sky above the ancient trees, a large number of them fell to the ground. When they fell into the forest, some light would occasionally light up, and then there would be no other movement. However, the gods and demons were still not afraid. They advanced dauntlessly. Because there were so many of them rushed to the sky above the city. At this moment, figures with powerful auras rose into the sky. Their eyes were cold, and the auras surging around them were almost the same. They were like well-trained killing soldiers, indifferently killing the gods and demons. To the veterans of the gods and demons who often fought here, these people were not unfamiliar. Strictly speaking, they could not be considered as humans. They were a kind of creature that had transformed into a human form, but their combat power was extremely strong. They were the highest level creatures of the mother nest. On the battlefield, they were truly existences that did not fear death. They were also true war machines. After the mother nest's creatures intercepted another batch of gods and demons, it was the turn of the ancient tree kings in each city to attack. The original buildings turned into tall tree ants. They were taller than giants, and they attacked the gods and demons in the sky. Zichen did not attack. He stood on a high ground and looked ahead. The experts on the opposite side also did not attack at this time. This is the final battle. There's no need to hold back. Everyone attack. Lina directly gave the order. Although she was not able to advance to the Holy Venerate level this time, she was still the chief commander of the Tianwu world. Luo Qishui was the strongest person in this group. Luo Qishui was the strongest person in this group. Although Lina had recruited many experts over the years, Luo Qishui had always been the strongest. The Tianwu world's top resources, Luo Qi water, were all available. Boom! Luo Qishui's powerful aura rippled as he charged into the crowd. In an instant, not a single god or devil remained standing within a radius of several hundred zhang. How can a saint venerable deal with a mere saint spirit? A saint venerable from the divine race sneered. He approached from afar and punched at Luo Qishui's face. The fist light was vast and mighty, and boundless divine light circulated. Luo Qishui blocked with his sword. The sword light flashed, and the deity race's holy venerate's eyes lit up. He sensed danger. He immediately retreated, and by the time he had retreated several feet, there was already an extremely deep sword wound on his chest. The injured deity race's holy venerate was not angry. Instead, he smiled and said, "It seems that this is the famous demonic weapon of the Tianwu world. Not bad, I like it very much." After so many years of war, the Tianwu world had been able to persist until now. In addition to its extraordinary foundation and tenacious fighting will, the famous demonic weapon also played a significant role. Because every demonic weapon could fight against someone of a higher level, a 9-star saint spirit dared to fight against a half-step holy venerate with one in his hand. Luo Qishui's response was an even sharper attack. The other holy venerates also joined in the attack. At this point, it would be too late if they did not fight with all their might. One holy venerate after another joined the battlefield. Similarly, the gods and devils also sent out holy venerates. In terms of numbers, they suppressed Zichen's side. After all, they were from 2 different races, and numbers were their greatest advantage. Judging from the current situation, Zichen's side was obviously at a disadvantage. Therefore, Lady Li Haoqing and other holy venerates who had been here for a long time also joined in the battle. The moment Lady entered the battlefield, Zichen's gaze fell on him. This was because Zichen found that in his world, Lady could mobilize a part of the laws of heaven and earth and did not attract any backlash from the laws. It was as if the laws of heaven and earth had tacitly agreed to this. This surprised Zichen. This was his world. So why did it not reject Lady? Moreover, Lady's combat strength was surprisingly strong. In an instant, 3 holy venerates were repelled, and 2 of them were even injured. The ancient holy venerates who had come here, such as Ninghua and Chengho, had withdrawn from the main city early in the morning and went to other cities to help. Now that the war had broken out, they no longer held back and chose to take the initiative to attack. As ancient holy venerates, their movements were very loud and often required the cooperation of several holy venerates. Moreover, they were the ones who were at a disadvantage. Fortunately, they had enough people to restrain the ancient holy venerates first. Otherwise, they would have been slaughtered. Even so, the situation was still unfavorable. Old Man Ge still did not take action, but the ancient holy venerates beside him had decreased a little. Obviously, they were facing pressure and had all gone to help. Old Man Ge stood in the air and looked at Zichen from afar. He smiled and said, Zichen, the battle has just begun, and you have already used all your trump cards. Don't you think it's too early? How can you think it's too early to kill the enemy? Zichen also smiled faintly. Then he saw Shen Hao, who was beside Old Man Ge. Shen Hao had not broken through, which surprised Zichen. Even Mo Jingtian had broken through. So why hadn't Shen Hao broken through? Shen Hao seemed to sense Zichen's gaze and nodded at Zichen with a smile. Is it strange? This is what I want, Old Man Ge said. After you die, the great path will completely belong to us. When the time comes to break through, the benefits will naturally be great. Zichen suddenly understood. He raised his head and looked at the sky. There was emotion in his eyes, but more than that, he was glad. In fact, in the end, Zichen's growth was no longer related to himself, but to his understanding of the world. He knew why he had not broken through for so long. It was not because of his strength or cultivation level, but because it was directly related to the world. He watched as the great path of the world got further and further away from him, but he could not grasp it in his hands. This was the first time in his life that he felt so helpless. It was different from other things that could be fought for with one's own efforts. At that time, the great path could not be fought for. At the very least, at that moment, Zichen could not fight for it. Just as Zichen had tried many times and was on the verge of despair, the great path that was getting further and further away suddenly stopped. Then it took the initiative to approach him. At that time, Zichen saw rays of light light up one after another. Those rays of light represented the holy sages of the spirit clan. Every ray of light represented a holy sage who had broken through. The rays of light became brighter and brighter. Like sparks of fire in a prairie, they burned brighter and brighter. The great path began to approach, so much so that Zichen could accurately estimate the time when he would break through. Just as all the rays of light around him lit up, the great path finally fell on him and acknowledged him. Then he broke through. Then his breakthrough brought about the blessings of the world, causing even more people to break through. Zichen's world had developed for many years, and the number of cities had been increasing one after another. At the moment, not all of the cities had ancient holy sages overseeing them. Those cities without ancient holy sages began to collapse in the face of the strong attack. The people living in the cities left through the teleportation array under the protection of the ancient Tree King in the city. After the entire Lost Clan was attacked, they also withdrew from their place of residence. The entire Tianwu world was currently showing signs of failure. One city after another fell and disappeared. Old Man Ge saw all of this and shook his head in disappointment. I thought that you, who were truly invincible, would have left behind a lot of backup plans. I didn't expect that you were just an embroidered pillow. Nice to look at, but useless. He pointed into the distance and said disdainfully, Look, without any powerful military forces, the world has fallen just like that. It seems that I have overestimated you. I originally thought that your world would be different from the rest, and that it would take at least many years to conquer it. Now, it seems that it will only take one day. As soon as Old Man Ge's voice fell, there was a loud rumble. It was the Thunder spirit world. The world created by Little Fairy, which was an extremely rare spiritual world, even in the entire Saint spirit world, also collapsed. Fortunately, Little Fairy and the existence inside had already retreated in time. Seeing the cities collapse one after another, Zichen's expression didn't change much. This scene was also within his expectations. After all, the number of enemies was several times that of this world, or even dozens of times more. This included holy sages, In his own world, it was already very impressive for him to be able to fight against two races for many years. Mo Yijin didn't participate in the battle. He stood behind Mo Jingtian and looked at Zi Qin in the city. He didn't know what Zi Qin was waiting for. Why hadn't he used his trump card yet? He didn't know the trump card to deal with the God clan, but he knew the trump card to deal with the Devil clan, the ancient jade of demon refinement. Old Man Ge looked at Zi Qin and smiled. Why haven't you made your move yet? Zi Qin said calmly, there's no hurry. Let's wait a little longer. Old Man Goose said, sarcastically, until when? When the world is completely destroyed. No need. 10 breaths later. Old Man Go was even more amused when he heard Zi Qin's words. The other existences who hadn't made their move also laughed out loud. 10 breaths? Are you kidding me? Someone mocked. Zi Qin's expression was serious. Of course, he wasn't joking. Time passed, one breath after another. When it was the last 3 breaths, Zi Qin started counting down. 3, 2, 1. After the last count, a powerful aura suddenly appeared outside the Tianwu world. When this aura appeared, a loud and clear voice rang out. When Lord Buddha appears, heaven and earth trembles. Little god fiend, quickly accept your death. Chapter 4793. A Saint Venerable appeared, and there was more than one. However, only one person spoke. His voice was loud and clear, as if he was the strongest in the world. It was Tyrant's voice. He was surrounded by Buddhist light as he appeared in the sky above Zi Qin's world. That dazzling, golden Buddhist light attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, he was the focus of everyone's attention. So much so that the few people behind him were just background characters. Zi Qin smiled faintly. Why can't you give me a big greeting when I'm here? Tyrant laughed loudly. On his back, there was a huge saber that looked like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. It was pitch black and had an evil aura. It was completely different from his Buddhist light. Behind Tyrant, the 5 Saint Venerable Senior Brothers all put their palms together and chanted, Good, good! Junior Brother's temperament became strange when he came here. At this moment, a black light entered everyone's vision. That was pure devil chi. Black clouds rolled as if a great demon had descended. It was a stark contrast to Tyrant's Buddhist light. This phenomenon forced everyone to look away. Devil Ape, what do you mean? Tyrant was very dissatisfied when he felt everyone's gazes shifting. He had just become the center of attention, and now he was stealing it. Devil Ape couldn't be bothered with Tyrant. He descended and also brought 5 Saint Venerables with him. Their devil chi was very pure, no different from the real Devil clan. It was even purer than the royal clans. This was all thanks to Zi Qin's trip to the Devil race. When he returned, he had people send the Devil race's power to Shimo region. Suddenly, there was a cold aura between heaven and earth. Then there was wind, but there was nothing unusual. There was one more person in Zi Qin's city, Zhang Haotian. Su Mengyao from Tianyin Peak came, and Shang Ti also came. The 2 of them were surrounded by mysterious power. One of them landed in Zi Qin's city, while the other went directly to the lightning field. All the Saint clans, except for the Holy Thunder clan, existed. They were all fighting against the God race and the Devil race, so the war was quite tense. Shang Guanyu, and Ming Yu had also returned. Yu Butian of the Holy Moon clan had also returned, and he had brought along several Saint Venerables of the Holy Moon clan. Xing Chen appeared with a few Saint Venerables of the Saint Star clan. Among them was the one called Xing Yi, who had also advanced to become a Saint Venerable. Brilliant, who had gone to the Holy Glory race to cultivate, had returned. Yao Guan, who had once interacted with Zi Qin, had also returned. Zi Qin was very surprised that they could bring other sacred venerables back. After all, the entire spirit realm was at war right now, and sacred venerables were the peak fighting force. No one would complain about having more of them. Zichen couldn't imagine that those big powers would be willing to let everyone come and help at this time. The friends who had entered the other world with him had all returned, and they were not alone. Even those who did not go to the other world, such as the flying divine tiger, also returned at this time. Without a doubt, they had all advanced to the Holy Venerate stage due to various fortuitous encounters. It was because of talent, but also because of the general situation. The battle stopped because of the appearance of these saint sovereigns. All the gods and devils who came to this world looked up at the sky and saw the saint sovereigns appear one after another. That's right, they were all saint sovereigns. They were the true foundation of the Holy Thunder Clan. After all, many of the resources that the Holy Thunder Clan had obtained over the years had been given to these people. They might not be famous, but they were the absolute core of the various clans. In the Tianmu continent, each of them was comparable to Luo Qi Shui, or even stronger than him. And today they had all returned together, and they had brought many reinforcements. After wandering outside for so many years, I'm finally home. Ji Wei came to the Tianmu continent and let out a sigh. He did not bring other saint sovereigns, but he brought back his family. The people who had left with him back then had all returned this time. Among them was Yi Qian's younger sister, Exanlin, and the people from back then. Yi Qian had also come. She had also brought some saint sovereign friends from the Shengxin realm. Seeing so many saint sovereigns appear, the gods and devils could no longer laugh. Even old man Gu felt that his throat was a little dry. How could this be? According to his understanding of the various clans, those selfish fellows not allowing them to stay in their clans to fight was already very benevolent. But now, not only had they allowed them to return, they had actually brought so many people with them for the first time. With so many saint sovereigns appearing together, it was a very terrifying power. Had the brains of those factions been kicked by a donkey? The people who had appeared were all extraordinary. Take the monk from before, for example. The commotion that he had caused when he appeared was not something that ordinary saint sovereigns could do. Although he was a little extravagant, he was truly capable. The huge scythe behind him caused even old man Ji's heart to palpitate. As if he felt that the morale of the people had been affected, old man Ge forcefully snorted coldly. So what if there are dozens of saint sovereigns? In front of absolute numbers, you still do not have the advantage. Speaking of which, at this critical juncture, instead of hiding, you actually came to this place to throw away your lives. Such stupidity is rare. Did you think that only these people came? It seems that too much time has passed, and many people have forgotten about us. A faint laugh was heard. More people appeared in the sky. The one leading them was Bai Yu. Then, more and more people appeared. After so many years, they were all saint sovereigns. There were many of them. In the blink of an eye, there were more than 100 of them. Many people had forgotten about them because too much time had passed. As for old man Ge, he did not know about Bai Yu and the others. Back then, in order to protect that space of opportunity, Zichen had forcefully sealed it. Then, there was no news of Bai Yu and the others in this world. Today they had appeared. Moreover, there were more of them than Zichen had imagined. Everyone descended and came to Zichen's side. Then they cupped their fists at Zichen at the same time. Because I had to find other companions, I was delayed for some time. I'm not late, right? Bai Yu, who was in front, said with a smile. Very timely. Zichen was a little emotional. He had predicted that Su Mengyao and the others would appear, but he did not expect that Bai Yu and the others would also appear in time. These people were not ordinary saint sovereigns. If they really had to be given an identity, they would be ancient saint sovereigns of the previous era. This time the celestials and demons were completely dumbfounded, because Zichen's foundation was too strong. At this moment, everyone looked at Zichen. Zichen rose into the air and looked at the celestials and demons. He said, "It's impolite not to reciprocate. Look at how you've destroyed my home. It's time for me to return the favor. Everyone, please return to your positions. Su Mengyao rose into the air and went directly to Mengyao City. Good and evil monk was a little unwilling, but he also flew into the sky and went to good and evil city. Wang Xian went to Xianer City. Lin Shui also went to her own city. When Zi Chen built these cities, he had named the people around him one by one. But it was not as simple as naming them. More importantly, he used the rules of heaven and earth to link the cities and people together. To put it simply, when those cities were built in the beginning, each city was built according to the formation. These cities were Zi Chen's main foundation. So, until now, none of them had been destroyed. Seeing that everyone had returned to their positions, Zi Chen said, "Begin." Chapter 4794. The cities lit up one after another. The laws of heaven and earth fused with their auras, and a murderous aura surged out. When the gods and demons who entered the cities sensed this dangerous aura, their expressions changed drastically. Slash! The first to kill was Tyrant. Following his indifferent command, the sky-piercing swords flew toward the gods and demons in the sky. The sword lights were formed by the fusion of laws. They were colorful and extremely beautiful. However, under this beauty, there was boundless killing intent. All the gods and demons were filled with vigilance. When the sword lights approached, they raised their defenses and chose to defend first. As the sword lights approached, clanging and puffing sounds could be heard. In the blink of an eye, a large number of gods and demons were pierced through by the sword lights and fell to the ground. Similar attacks appeared in several other directions. The attacks were like raindrops from below, filling one's vision. In the blink of an eye, nearly half of the two races who entered the cities were killed. The gods and demons had never seen such a scene before. They had no choice but to retreat, and their corpses fell to the ground like locusts. The situation changed in a very short time. The cities without formations were conquered, and all the tree houses disappeared. The ancient tree king in the center of the city was also taken away by Jono to be used as a reserve force. That place became an empty land. As for the cities with formations, Tyrant and the others personally took charge and chased out all the gods and demons. At this moment, the spirit race who stayed in the cities all year round finally understood why the cities were named as such. The gods and demons retreated outside the cities. They were lucky enough to survive, but they still had lingering fears. In comparison, Zichen City seemed to be the least dangerous, as Zichen had yet to activate the formation of Zichen City. Old Man Ge and the other ancient sacred venerables naturally didn't look too good when the gods and demons were stopped in their tracks. Zichen's expression was relaxed, and there was a smile on his face. Old Man Ge smiled disdainfully and said, "You're already happy? Isn't it a little too early? As long as we guard this place, there will be a day when we can devour your world. Don't be anxious. I still have something to show you." Zichen smiled faintly. Light shone in front of him as he finally took out the ancient devil refining jade in front of everyone. The moment the ancient devil refining jade appeared, the spiritual energy in the area began to riot. An extremely terrifying devouring force emerged from the ancient devil refining jade and extended in all directions. Before Zichen left for the strange world, he placed the ancient devil refining jade in the Zichen palace to prevent any accidents from happening. Reality proved that Zichen's overthinking was right. Later on, Lei Zheng personally came to attack Zichen. He specifically searched for the ancient devil refining jade, hoping to use it to control the demon race. Unfortunately, he didn't find it. After so many years of war, Zichen had never taken out the ancient devil refining jade until today. Beams of light descended from the sky. Those were the laws of heaven and earth. They enveloped the demonic ape and the others. After all, they were also considered demons, and they might be accidentally injured. As the ripples spread out, the devil clan members retreated one after another. Their faces were filled with fear. A holy sage could barely resist the devouring force, but those below the holy sage level couldn't resist at all. At this moment, they were fleeing in fear. Some even wanted to escape from this world. If they didn't have the means to suppress the ancient devil refining jade, all the devil clan members would die here. Emoluin was also resisting the devouring force of the ancient devil refining jade. With a gloomy face, he said, "Old Go, it's up to you this time." Of course, they were on guard against the ancient devil refining jade. "Don't worry." Old Man Go smiled faintly. He waved his hand confidently, and a group of God clan members quickly rushed forward. As divine light flowed, they formed a protective barrier. They wanted to use their divine power to isolate the ancient devil refining jade. Seeing this scene, Zichun just smiled faintly. They really didn't understand the ancient devil refining jade. These barriers could block attacks and defend, but they couldn't stop the ancient devil refining jade from devouring. The devil clan members' lives began to fade. Some who couldn't escape in time fell to the ground and died. Emolin looked at Olga. They had no other way to deal with the ancient devil refining jade. They could only rely on the God clan. This was the only shortcoming of the God clan. Olga waved his hand again. The God clan members immediately retreated. Many Saint Venerables of the God clan came forward and formed a similar barrier. Of course, different levels of protection would have different levels. The ancient devil refining jade's devouring power was stopped. The panicked devil clan members were all still in shock. Emoluen said, "Attack the other cities." And this quickly. The battle had to go on. Even if they had to pay a huge price with their lives, they had to continue. Therefore, the devil clan retreated from this main city and turned to attack other cities. "All right, let's begin." Zi Chen's figure disappeared. The next moment, he appeared in front of a Saint Venerable of the God clan. At this moment, the Saint Venerable of the God clan was putting up a defense. He didn't expect Zi Chen to suddenly appear. While he was slightly shocked, a protective barrier lit up around him. Zi Chen struck with his saber. With a flash of the saber, the Saint Venerable of the God clan was separated from the barrier. One strike killed him. With one less person, the barrier began to tremble and become unstable. Bai Yu and the others charged forward. As true ancient Saint Venerables, their combat power was naturally strong. After the battle began, the situation became unfavorable for the God clan and the Devil clan. It was hard to imagine that the strength of the two clans was used to attack the Tianwu world and still be at a disadvantage. Demonic Will glanced at Old Man Go and said discontentedly, "It's already come to this. What are you still waiting for? Are you waiting for these people to die first?" "You must stay calm," Olga said calmly. Emoluen was so angry that he wanted to curse. The existence of the ancient devil refining jade was like a sharp blade hanging over the devil clan's head that could cut off their heads at any time. How could they stay calm? "We have to end this quickly. Otherwise, more people will die. We might even fail miserably." Emoluen gritted his teeth and said, "All right then, let the others come first." Seeing that Emoluen was really angry, Old Goose stopped teasing him. As his voice fell, a huge teleportation array appeared behind them. Then the aura of Saint Venerables surged. Many Saint Venerables of the two clans appeared. They who already had the advantage in numbers had more people this time. Zi Chen saw this scene, but his expression didn't change much. This was the strength and means that the two clans should have. He had never underestimated them. But at the same time, the two clans shouldn't underestimate him. Zi Chen glanced at the ancient devil refining jade. The surface of the ancient devil refining jade was circulating with demonic light. It buzzed and then grew with the wind. The small tree that was originally not tall became a towering tree in the blink of an eye. A devouring force that was many times more terrifying than before spread out. This time, everyone, including the Saint Venerables of the Devil clan, was affected. The barrier formed by the saint venerables of the god clan was like a decoration. It didn't have any effect. Chapter 4795. Zichen arrived at the foot of the ancient devil refining jade along with several other ancient saint venerables. The ancient devil refining jade that had turned into a towering tree could even swallow demon saint venerables. So, as long as they persisted, all the demons here would die. Old Go was clearly stunned. He didn't think that Zichen would have such a move. His eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. Like this, the ancient devil refining jade was a variable. Whether it was because he was stunned or because of some other reason, Old Go didn't immediately send the god race saint venerables to help. Instead, he allowed the ancient devil refining jade to swallow the lives of all the demons. Even in the distant cities, the lives of the demons were quickly draining away. One demon after another fell. Every moment, countless demons were dying for the sake of the city. As Zichen approached, he killed them with a single slash. Even if they were saint venerables, it was as simple as cutting grass. The god race, saint venerables, retreated. The fast ones fled, and the slow ones were left behind forever. At this point, there was no longer a single god near the ancient devil refining jade. The ancient devil refining jade's unstoppable swallowing ability caused Zichen's world to be filled with miserable wails. "You're courting death." With a furious roar, the ancient demon sovereign Emoluin rushed forward. At the same time, several demon saint venerables rushed towards Zichen from different directions. Zichen slashed down with his saber. The saber arc extended forward, causing space to violently distort wherever it passed. Old Go looked at Zichen's saber with envy in his eyes. He recognized the origin of that saber. That was the weapon of a king. A black pagoda appeared in front of Emoluin. The pagoda was 3 stories tall, and after being poured in demonic power, it expanded. Demonic energy flowed out, blocking in front of him. In other directions, the demon saint venerables that arrived didn't fear the ancient devil refining jade's swallowing ability. Taking advantage of the time when Zichen was fighting Emoluin, they launched attacks at Zichen. Some punched, fist light like a mountain. Some kicked, leg light like whips. Feeling these unique attacks, Zichen recalled their identities. They were existences that had obtained the demon god's inheritance. In the past, he had already fought with them. Needless to say, these were all saint lords that had stimulated the demon god bone. Speaking of which, his harvest in that place was not small. He first obtained the eye of the demon god and then the scroll of the demon god. Both of them were the most precious treasures of the demon race. Unfortunately, as the essence of his power changed, these 2 things lost their effect. As the attacks approached, Zichen took out the Zichen Palace. A terrifying pressure enveloped the surroundings, causing the attacks to slow down, allowing Zichen to easily evade them. Everyone charged towards Zichen, but when they reached the range of Zichen's palace, their speed was affected to a certain extent. Zichen closed in on a saint venerable. His speed was comparable to teleportation as he slashed down with his blade. Blood splattered in the sky as an existence with the demonic god's inheritance was split in 2 and fell to the ground, dead. When the others saw this, their faces became even more gloomy. Even an existence with the demonic god's inheritance was killed with a single saber strike. Zichen was simply too strong. Demonic couldn't help but shout out, "Old Go, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for all of us demons to die?" Old Go shook his head, puzzled. "I don't understand what you mean." At this time, he had just repelled 2 saint venerables and had already joined the battlefield. Indeed, in such a war, no one could stay out of it. "Stop pretending. The ancient devil refining jade is pinning down all of us. You should use your trump card now. Otherwise, once we die and you deal with Zichen alone, you won't have an easy time." Demonic clenched his teeth. He didn't think that the ancient devil refining jade would become so powerful. Even an existence on his level was greatly affected by it. As for the existence with the demonic god's inheritance, he had died an even more aggrieved death. This was because not only was Zi-Chin Palace restricting him, but the ancient devil refining jade was also restricting him. Shua! Zi-Chen brought Zi-Chin Palace forward and slashed out again. With the flowing saber, Zi-Chin was like a tiger that had grown wings. The second Saint Venerable of the demonic race was killed by him. Demonic Wheel roared in anger. After approaching, he wanted to use the Black Tower to envelop Zi-Chin. Zi-Chen wielded his saber and slashed again. After 3 consecutive slashes, this extraordinary Black Tower exploded with a loud bang. The other ancient demonic sovereigns also came here one after another, wanting to pin down Zi-Chin. It could be said that Zi-Chen and the ancient devil refining jade were enough to pin down the main force of the demon race. As time passed, the demons died one after another. If this was allowed to continue, it could be said that Zi-Chin could destroy all the demons. One person was comparable to an entire race. There was no order to retreat, so even if the demons kept dying, they still had to attack. At the same time, there were demons in the sky constantly coming to support. It could be said that there was an endless stream of demons. Pooh! The third Saint Venerable of the demon race was killed by Zi-Chin. Back then, there were only a few who had obtained the inheritance. Who would have thought that in such a short time, Zi-Chen would kill 3 of them? Demonic Will gritted his teeth in anger. Old Go, if you don't think of a way, we will retreat. The ancient devil refining jade was beyond their expectations, causing the demons' various schemes to fail. Zi-Chin was abnormally strong, so now they could only rely on Old Go. However, that guy was too scheming and obviously didn't want to contribute at this moment. Forget it. Seeing your great losses, this old man is also very pained. Fortunately, I will throw caution to the wind. As Old G's voice fell, a violent explosion sounded. The ancient devil refining jade seemed to have been struck by lightning and instantly shattered into pieces. When Zi-Chin turned around, the ancient devil refining jade had already been destroyed. He was stunned and felt that it was very inconceivable. He had painstakingly cultivated the ancient devil refining jade for so many years, and who knew how many ancient devil refining jades he had devoured. It was gone just like that. Zi-Chen raised his head and looked up. Old Go was holding a talisman wrapped in divine light in his hand. His face was a little pale as he said with a pained expression, "This old man obtained this by chance. I have kept it for many years and couldn't bear to use it." The ancient devil refining jade was destroyed and no longer devoured the demons. Demonic Wheel and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. In just a short moment, the demons had lost 1/3 of their members. Fortunately, Demonic Wheel was quick-witted. Otherwise, if this continued for a while, they would have lost more than half of their members. However, before he could say some words of thanks to Old Go, the talisman in Old G's hand turned into light spots and disappeared. At the same time, Old G's face didn't have a trace of blood. This scene was as if he had exhausted too much of his strength. Everyone felt the world sink. Then a bright light appeared and fell from the sky onto Zi-Chen's body. Boom! A huge quake sounded again. The flowing blade in Zi-Chen's hand fell from his hand. His body was like a huge rock as it smashed towards the ground. There was a human-shaped pit on the ground. Chapter 4796. This change happened so quickly that everyone nearby was stunned. That old man Go, who did not reveal anything, had used a talisman to first destroy the ancient fiend refining jade. Then he had left Zi-Chen's fate unknown. Old man Go, whose aura was weak, laughed. It seems that this trump card is indeed effective. Now that Zi-Chen is dead, what else do you have to say? Everyone looked at each other, because they could not determine whether Zichen was dead or alive. That attack was indeed terrifying. It had extinguished Zichen's aura. Wang. A sharp saber intent suddenly appeared from the ground and rushed into the sky. Old man Ge's expression changed, and he quickly disappeared from his spot. A pair of bloody hands appeared from the deep pit. Zichen, who was covered in blood, crawled out. The saber light from before was formed from energy. It was not a real saber light. Zichen, who stood up, was on the verge of collapsing. It had to be said that old man Go had caught him off guard. His injuries were very serious. If it were not for his extraordinary physique, he would not have been able to hold on. Mobilizing the laws of heaven and earth, Zichen prepared to heal his injuries. After all, this was his world. Here he was the master. This identity was several levels higher than his identity as the guardian of the alternate world. However, Zichen soon discovered that there seemed to be a layer between him and the laws, which prevented him from using the laws to heal his injuries. His expression changed. This was going to be troublesome. Old man Go stabilized his body. After looking at Zichen's current state, he said with dissatisfaction, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Such a good opportunity was ruined by you guys." He was very angry because that talisman trump card could attack Zichen twice in a row. Once the two attacks landed, not to mention Zichen, who was just a Saint Venerable. Even if he was an evil demon, he might have been killed by the talisman. At present, Zichen was only injured. He was still very far from death. This time, the demon race owes you a favor. Emo Lewin said in a deep voice, "If there is anything in the future, feel free to tell us. As long as we can accomplish it, we will not refuse." Only then did old man Ge's expression gradually turn for better. He said, "It's not like we didn't gain anything this time. At the very least, he can't recover now. With his severely injured body, he shouldn't be able to hold on for long. Because the remaining power of the talisman was still on Zichen, it prevented him from recovering. This meant that Zichen no longer had boundless combat power, making him much easier to deal with compared to before. Zichen stretched out his hand. The flowing breaking blade trembled slightly and flew back into his hand. After another fruitless attempt at recovery, Zichen knew that it was time for him to fight for his life. Therefore, he could only rely on himself. The light on his body circulated, and the three different powers were pushed to the extreme by him. He rushed toward Old Man Ge. Old Man Ge quickly retreated, and a sword surrounded by divine light blocked in front of him. Zichen struck with his saber. The swords and sabers clashed, emitting boundless radiance. After 3 consecutive slashes, the divine sword crumbled. Old Man Ge had already retreated far away. Obviously, he didn't want to exchange his life with Zichen at this time. At the same time, he was a little angry. If he had that saber, he wouldn't have retreated in front of so many people. Just as he was retreating, the others rushed forward. The ones in the lead were the few Saint Venerables who had the devil god's inheritance, but didn't die. These people were quite bold. Under the constant attacks and the absolute advantage in numbers, the cities that had defended themselves were ultimately unable to withstand the enemy's attacks. The great formation in the city was shattered. Without the formation, the power of good and evil city was greatly reduced. Monk stood up. The great formation was actually suppressing him earlier. Now that the formation was broken, it was time for him to make a move. He reached behind him and grabbed the black scythe. Surrounded by the Buddhist light, Monk held the black scythe and moved forward. He waved his hands forward, and an attack from a Saint Venerable was destroyed by him. Monk stomped his feet, and a terrifying wave spread out. With him as the center, within a radius of 1,000 feet, no god or devil was left standing. To think that you did not pay your respects after coming to this Lord Zheng's mountain. You all really disappoint this Lord Zheng. Monk looked at the deity race Saint Venerables 3 kilometers away and said in dissatisfaction, Is there still this Lord Zung in your eyes? Monk swung his saber, and a saber light landed on that deity race Saint Venerate from more than 3 kilometers away. In the next moment, that deity race Saint Venerate fell to the ground, dead. When the other Saint Venerables saw this, their expressions changed drastically. Unexpectedly, after losing the Great Formation, this unknown monk actually possessed such terrifying combat prowess. He was not Zichen. How could he instantly kill someone of the same cultivation as him? It seemed like Monk Ge guessed their thoughts from their expressions. The shocked Monk Ge could not help showing anger on his face. What's with that look? Do you think that this Lord Zung is inferior to Zichen? Buzz. 2 large Buddhas immediately appeared behind Monk Ge. One flickered with golden light, looking holy and benevolent. The other had surging black chi, looking like a god or devil descending. Monk Ge already had a horrifying aura in the first place. After these 2 large Buddhas appeared, his aura soared to the peak. Monk Ge swung his scythe horizontally, drawing a beam of light in the sky. The beam of light extended and cut through space. In the space that had been sliced apart, there were many gods and devils who had an additional line on their bodies. This line extended for dozens of kilometers. From holy spirits to holy venerables, no one survived. The battle in this city instantly fell silent. Everyone looked at Monk Ge. This included the spirit race. Many people living in this city only knew of the Vice City Lord. They had never seen the city Lord before. Today was the first time they saw this evil good city's city lord. However, they did not expect him to be so strong. He looked like he was undefeatable against deities and demons. Monk Ge clearly looked like a benevolent monk. However, everywhere he passed, no one survived. The 5 senior brothers who came with Monk Ge kept chanting Buddhist scriptures, filled with compassion. However, when they attacked, they did not hold back. This was because they knew very well that deities and demons were foreign races. Chasing away these foreign races was the greatest mercy. A tall demonic figure approached from afar. As he walked, he crushed several ancient tree giants under his feet. The holy venerables of the demon race stared at Monk Ge with bloodshot eyes. Die, bald bastard! Monk Ge raised his scythe and swung it again. Heaven and earth trembled. Then the entire Tianwu world seemed to be divided into 2. A huge crack extended out. At the end of the crack, the huge demonic figure fell to the ground with a loud crash. Bravado, but no brains. Do you think you're worthy of fighting me? The monk laughed sarcastically, while the 2 shadows behind him dimmed slightly. Battles consumed energy. Moreover, in a battle like this, it would be difficult to replenish energy in time. However, Monk Ge did not care at all. He held his scythe and killed in all directions. As for the ancient holy venerables of the deities and demons, they wanted to stop Monk Ge. Unfortunately, they had their own opponents. Chapter 4797. Boom! 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 The city's array formation was broken, and the ground was littered with corpses of gods and demons. Wang Xian stood up. Sword intent circulated around her, and killing intent surged. She was the city lord of this city. Facing the attacks of countless gods and demons, the array formation could not hold on any longer and collapsed. It was time for her, the city lord, to make a move. She swung her sword. Sword chi shot up, and 2 sacred venerables, who could not escape in time, were killed by her sword. Everyone, retreat as you fight. Wang Xian looked behind her. The survivors of this city had all gathered here. The deputy city lord, who had become a sacred venerate, cupped his fists and said, "Yes, sir." Wang Xian held her sword and advanced instead of retreating. She could only kill in one direction. The gods and demons in the other directions attacked the city from both sides. The ancient tree giants fell one after another. The rest of the people in the city retreated as they fought, leaving behind corpses. Wang Xian continued forward with her sword. She was unobstructed. When she reached an open area, she realized that she had killed her way out of the city. The tree giants died in battle. There were no more tree walls around her. It was like a ruin. She turned around. The path of retreat had already been blocked by the gods and demons. There were many sacred venerables and sacred venerables along the way. Wang Xian looked at her sword. This sword was called the Immortal King's Sword. She had refined it herself. After returning from the alternate world, she filled it with demonic materials and refined it for many years. We have to meet up with the rest. The real battle has not started yet. We cannot die here. Wang Xian looked at the sword. The sword vibrated slightly as if it was responding to her. Wang Xian and her sword moved forward in a straight line. Everywhere they passed, all living things were wiped out. Countless corpses were behind her. Blood flowed like a river. When she returned to the city, there was still a small group of people holding on. The city lord had not returned, so they did not retreat. Let's go. Wang Xian, Oi's sword left her hand. Like a beam of light, it killed all the gods and demons around the teleportation formation. Everyone entered the teleportation formation. Wang Xian was the last one to enter. The teleportation formation collapsed with a boom. The ancient tree giants that were still fighting in the city turned into trees after the teleportation formation was destroyed. They then turned into energy and entered the underground. This portion of energy was absorbed by the ancient tree king Jono. The city was littered with the corpses of the three races, but the number of gods and demons was still endless. In the Tianwu world, apart from Ziqin, Luo Qishui was the only one who could be considered a top fighter. The other powerful combat forces were either core elites from the outside world or lost clans that did not belong to this world. Relatively speaking, in terms of absolute combat power, the Tianwu world was somewhat lacking. This time, all of the Tianwu world's top fighters had returned. Not a single one of them was left behind. Not everyone was Ziqin, but there was definitely no weakling among them. In fact, he was terrifyingly strong. The sky-splitting city that the devil ape was guarding had also been breached. The devil ape walked out from the core of the great array. He held a long staff that was as black as ink and roared as he charged forward. With a sweep of his staff, heaven and earth shook. Shadows of the staff appeared in the sky and filled everyone's vision. The gods and demons that had just broken through the great array and were still elated had their bodies explode one after another when they encountered the shadows of the staff. In the blink of an eye, a large open area appeared. Blood rained down from the sky, and the air was filled with the thick smell of blood. The devil ape's eyes turned even redder. A saint venerable of the demon race approached from afar. He felt the pure demonic chi on the devil ape and scolded angrily, "You traitor of the demon race. It's fine if you don't acknowledge your ancestors and return to the demon race. But how dare you help the spirit race to kill our people? Do you know your crime?" The devil ape glanced at him and responded with a strike of his staff. The saint venerable of the demon race widened his eyes as he watched the shadow of the staff approach. He mobilized his Tao sovereign power and formed a defense in front of him. His face was distorted with anger. He hid in his defense and said angrily, "Traitor, I will kill you!" As the shadow of the staff approached, the saint venerable of the demon race's defense collapsed instantly. The shadow of the staff did not disperse. It advanced again, and the body of the saint venerable of the demon race exploded. The devil ape extended his hand and grabbed in front of him. Amidst the blood rain, a black soul was caught in his hand. The saint venerable of the demon race, who had shrunk countless times, no longer had the intention to kill. His face was filled with fear. "With your abilities, do you think you are fit to order me around?" The devil ape opened his mouth and swallowed the saint venerable of the demon race's soul. His originally weak aura seemed to have grown a little. Following that, the devil ape's body expanded tremendously. He was like a tall black mountain, and there were rolling black clouds around him. It was terrifying and oppressive. The weapon in his hand expanded tremendously as well. It was like a heavenly pillar. The long staff swept across, and the gods and devils wailed in agony. Places were cleared out one after another. The cities that Yi Qian, Su Mengyao, and the rest were guarding were besieged by the gods and devils. They were conquered one after another. Following that, they displayed their own techniques to kill their enemies. All the gods and devils were shocked. They were almost invincible. Each of them could kill their way in and out of the armies of gods and devils. These were the techniques of the warlords. They were all extraordinary and had different killing techniques. However, the efficiency of killing their enemies was the same. Not only that, they could also take care of some of the battlefields and save those who were about to lose their lives. There were also powerful cultivators who were not warlords. Their killing power was also extraordinary. A huge black beast. Wherever it passed, it opened its mouth and sucked at the gods and devils. One by one, the souls left their bodies and were swallowed by it. The enemies fell just like that. Some of the stronger souls were barely standing. Following that, a black hurricane appeared. Wherever it passed, it was as if there were countless blades slicing through. The gods and devils who were lucky enough to survive howled in agony as they fell. It was a tragic sight. It was the Netherworld and Tianfeng, the two beasts that had advanced to become Saint Venerables. With their cooperation, no one could break through. The Flying Tiger and the rest were also killing their enemies in a frenzy. Their combat power was extraordinary. Amongst them, there was a small beast that had the speed of lightning. It only attacked the devils, but its attacks were very sharp. Whenever it waved its claws, a devil would fall. It was the specter. The combination of the specter and the specter was an unintentional product. It had the aura of a fiend celestial beast. However, no one knew whether it was a fiend celestial beast or not. However, when it came to killing demons, it was indeed faster than it was killing gods. Other than that, there were also friends from the Holy Talisman realm, such as Lan Gumeng, Shanya, Qingyi, and many other powerful cultivators who had left the Holy Talisman realm. They were all killing the enemies here, just to attack the Tianmu world, which was equivalent to one of the countless planets in the Saint Spirit realm. The gods and devils had mobilized almost half of their main forces. Such a city, not to mention that everyone in the Saint Spirit realm had one. Even if there were only a few of them, the gods and devils would not dare to invade the Saint Spirit realm. Not only were the devils shocked, but the spirit race who had decided to coexist with the Tianmu continent were also shocked. They had never thought that there would be so many powerful cultivators in the Tianmu world other than the invincible Zichen. Of course, as ancient sacred venerables, Cheng Ho, Ning Hua, and the others also let the world truly feel their true battle strength. Similarly, this was Zi Chen's world. If it was another world, they might not be able to withstand so many powerful cultivators fighting with all their strength. Perhaps the world would have been destroyed at the beginning. Where there was battle, there was death. The gods and devils suffered great casualties. On the other hand, Zi Chen's side lost one city after another, and similarly many people died. Even Tyrant and the others, who had a small degree of invincibility, had to retreat with injuries because the enemies were too many and they did not have time to recover. Sacred venerables were dying, and sacred spirits were dying in droves. As for those who were below the sacred spirit realm, they were dying in droves. Often, it was just a slap from a powerful cultivator or an uncontrolled energy that would cause a large number of deaths. Ancient sacred venerables were also dying one after another. Both sides had. The battle had already reached its climax. Of all the cities in the martial heaven world, only Zi Chen's main city was still standing. The other cities had all changed owners. Of course, They did not get anything, not even ruins. The originally endless green vegetation in the world was now desolate. All the vegetation energy had been taken back by Jono, leaving behind only corpses. In such a life-and-death situation, no one had the time to clean up the battlefield, even if there were many shining weapons on the battlefield. In the end, everyone retreated to Zichen City. Zichen did not use the city's killing array. He was killing the enemies with all his strength. Although he had been ambushed by Old Ge and could not fully recover from his injuries, Zichen still had a terrifying killing power. The flowing blade was a great help to him. One after another, sacred venerables fell in front of Zichen. Among them, the sacred venerables of the demon clan who had first besieged Zichen died the fastest. At present, there were still two who had the inheritance of the demon god. One had received the inheritance of the demon god's soul power, while the other had received the power of the demon god. The two of them used their own methods and cooperated with each other to attack, so they had survived until now. However, as everyone gathered here, the time for the final battle had arrived. Zichen did not intend to let the two of them live. A sword light suddenly appeared beside Zichen and headed toward the two sacred venerables. The two of them sensed that something was wrong and dodged. Unfortunately, it was too late. They were unprepared. In addition, Zichen's sword light was extraordinary. Even though the two of them made a blocking action, the sword light still penetrated their bodies. Zichen's understanding of the sword of lightning was no longer the same as before. At this point, all the sacred venerables who had received the inheritance of the demon god had been killed by Zichen. When Old Man Gu saw this, there was a flash of joy in his eyes. Old Gu had always been wary of these people. Now that they were gone, the demon clan was no longer a threat. With the threat of his allies removed, he was ready to go all out and get everything he had planned. Perhaps this was fate. Outside the Tianwu world, in the area where the Holy Thunder clan had disappeared, a giant tree suddenly appeared. Dazzling lightning curled around the giant tree. It enveloped a complete star region. This giant tree was the tree of lightning that had concealed the Holy Thunder clan. Now, it had appeared again with the Holy Thunder clan. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.